Yeah.
So, you're making a roster swap mid-playoffs in the upper brackets against teams that you're not even favored against, and then they end up coming out on top. So, the fact that Loud even made it here was a shock, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what they can get done.
Which also makes you think as well, because they managed to win that region with those circumstances. Now they've had extra time to practice with Envy on the roster. And the America's Cup, one of the factors of it, it was on home turf, right? And this tournament also on home turf with the fans here chanting for the team might be the boost they need.
Yeah, it very well might be. We'll see, though, because LYON here, obviously inspired, no stranger to the international stage. You're going to know a lot of these players, but LYON was also kind of not really expected to be here, especially if you watch the Swiss stage in the LCS. This team was struggling. They barely even made it into the playoffs of our lock-in tournament. It was actually through, the tiebreaker scenario that they ended up not having to actually, play to even get top 6. But they were struggling early on, and this team completely transformed going into playoffs. They really became, one cohesive unit, playing inspired style and playing, through his shot calling, and they just looked leaps and bounds better.
And now getting to the draft, you see Jarvan, that first pick priority by Loud. It was LYON who went for second pick in this situation. I feel like they put a lot of priority on getting counter pick for Dokla a lot more this year than we've seen last year, for example. He's had picks like the Vayne and the Varus even coming out. The Yunara being picked up here for Berserker, so someone that does have a dash available to get out of that Cataclysm when needed later. And Inspired going for that Pantheon, a pick that I don't think we've seen as much of it in the LCS compared to other regions. In the LCK, that pick is honestly often perma-banned. So much early pressure, so much global presence as well on the back of that pick.
Yeah, it's definitely still really highly prized in the LCS. It is just often very, very often banned. Taliyah Pantheon was kind of considered the premier jungle mid lane duo in the LCS, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a potential Taliyah here coming in on 3 for Saint. Ezreal going to be the option alongside Nico, so going for that bot lane. And now I feel like LYON have to decide, do you want to go for the Taliyah combo? Do you want to grab your Lulu here potentially and try to pick for that 2v2? Because probably whichever one you don't go is potentially going to get banned out in this second phase.
Yeah, I think matching bot lane here makes a lot of sense. You could obviously go for a solo lane pickup and then ban away any picks you don't want to deal with. Something to mention is we've only seen the Orianna and the Aurora banned away from mid lane. We obviously saw a lot of the mid lane picks taking down a peg with the patches that came through, but Rise is something that was still really strong and hasn't really been touched and hasn't been looked at yet. They do just go for that Lulu, pairing up really well with the Yunara, and now going in the second rotation, going to be trying to thin out the pools. Cassiopeia immediately coming out as a ban here, so maybe it's LYON want to set up the Rise. Yeah, exactly. Do they go for maybe the Anivia as well?
Yep. Yeah, and that is interesting because it does kind of broadcast what you're thinking about, so then Loud can obviously respond with a Rise ban of their own if they so choose. But it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams are going to play it out. LYON is a team that really likes to prioritize gold over objectives. They're willing to give early dragons. They're willing to give early objectives, to trade for plates, to trade for camps, and try to build a gold lead in that way. Yes, Dokla got a lot of attention in the TL series for the the Vayne and the Varus and all these counter picks, but that was more specifically as a strategy to beat TL because they felt like Morgan is the team. So we don't necessarily think we're going to see that from Dokla here, though Shino has been a really exciting rookie. If they feel like he's the only problem, they could definitely go for it. They can go for these range counter picks and try to just shut him down. But that's a strategy that I think they're only going to go for if they feel like Loud doesn't really have strength elsewhere.
Yeah, I think in this situation, if you get like a strong roam in mid, that mid jungle, you get pressure there, you can send it out to the sides. Either way, it's going to have a lot of power. The Rise ban does come through, but that Taliyah is still open and available, which is a really strong combo. Do still have the Ahri as an option. In the LCK, you often see Ahri picked into the Taliyah. You can kind of circumvent the Unraveled Earth to play a distance, but I think matchup playable on both sides, to be honest. Expect the mid lane to come through here for LYON and then leave that counter pick for Dokla.
Yeah, it's definitely what I'm expecting as well, unless they do just want to round it out with something a little bit more straightforward. The Ahri, though, obviously, you talked about as an answer to the Taliyah, but also is a good pairing. Anytime you have point-and-click CC, Charm is easy to follow up. Vi plus Ahri, a common combo, but obviously works very well here with the Pantheon also. And is going to be that point-and-click CC that you kind of need to lock down someone like the Ezreal to try to burst down this character.
I think also just offers a lot of safety into Nico Jarvan. I think Taliyah can feel, even though the Unraveled Earth helps a bit, can feel a bit uncomfortable to get on top of you. But the Mel coming through, and we saw this on day one. We saw Vikla playing this into Night, and how strong the matchup can be. The Charm, really low value if it can just be reflected at you. So Envy getting a good matchup here. We see the Renekton coming through. There's options like the Gnar, like the Kennen we often see picked into this, but you could just play any range top, to be honest, into the Renekton, or you can go for something a bit more standard like the Scion and just kind of match a bit of a brick wall into it.
Exactly, and I think that's where we're going to start to see, you know, what kind of strategy LYON wants to come in here with. I was expecting that they would just kind of play standard, play meta, that they're not going to be looking for anything too crazy here, so it is going to be about as standard gets. Dokal will be playing the Gnar here. We've seen this matchup a million times, and I expect LYON to be focusing more on the solo lanes, to be really trying to play towards those. One of the things I know Inspired really values about Berserker as a bot laner is that he generally does not need help. And that's something that he thinks is very valuable, is that he can basically ignore bot lane, and bot lane is going to be even. Bot lane is going to be doing all right. And that is kind of the way that he feels you should be playing the game, is maximizing your own time, your own efficiency, get ahead in camps, get ahead in gold, and then look for those team fights where you can kind of outplay with that advantage.
And I think if you're playing, you know, Yunara, Lulu, and you just go even with this matchup, you're in such a comfortable position. Ezreal, Nico, I feel like you need to be winning. You pick this because you want to have the pressure, you want to get ahead in the 2v2.
Exactly, and I feel like Jarvan, there's a little bit of pressure to make things happen as well. Obviously, a very explosive ganker. We saw Tatu was kind of running circles around us with the Jarvan at times. And the CB LoL, also something that we had talked about at America's Cup, really utilized some level 1 cheeses very, very well. You know, roams straight down to bot lane with the mid laner, trying to get advantages at level 1, you know, clever invades and things that you can do, because a lot of teams had kind of written all those strategies off, thinking, hey, the minions spawn too early, the camps spawn too early, you can't really go for it. But there are still some ways to really be efficient with it, just charge straight in, try to get an advantage, and we saw that a number of times at America's Cup. So I'm going to be really interested to see if Loud tries to take a page out of Furia's book, who had so much success against the LCS at America's Cup.
I mean, it's definitely possible, especially when you have the route set up from the Nico. You know, if you go for something bot lane, you bring Mel in potentially. Looks like they haven't opted to go for this. I think bot lane, you know, we're looking to have that pressure out of Bull and Redbird, but here in the mid lane,
Pantheon's coming, so they're actually looking for this. They are going to start Charm level 1 here. This is what I'm talking about. The level 1 problematic here for Envy. Has to flash, pop a potion already. Saint will pop a potion of his own and is starting Charm, which is, of course, not what you would really love to do. It does delay the start here for Inspired, but not significantly at all. So it's just a nice little look here. They catch him warding a bit deep there, had no coverage, and they are able to get a nice punish at level 1.
I think it's a good start. Oh, seeing aggression in the bot lane as well. Heal burn already from both sides there just to try and push in. Yeah, I think Inspired's early move there just to get some pressure on Envy. If this lane plays out naturally as the Mel into the RE, the Mel is going to have the edge. So I think disrupting that goes a long way. We see Youngjae, though, going for an invade here into Inspired's jungle. And it looks like he managed to circumvent the vision there.
Check out Warhound Senna. It is live on patch 26.06. A portion of the skin's proceeds will be shared across the LoL Esports teams. So a nice little invade here from Youngjae. We'll see if Inspired was aware of it. We didn't actually catch if he walked across that ward at Raptors.
He flag and dragged over, so I think he circumvented it. But you see the ping coming out at the Raptors, and they just assume, because they haven't seen, like, where is he? You know, something is up, something is different. There is a reason we haven't spotted him, and you see the on-the-way pings coming out. Inspired is like, okay, something is up here. I'm going to push in, and I assume my topside jungle is gone at this point.
Yep. Inspired, very intelligent jungler, is going to be able to make that read. And you could also see Dokla was aggressively contesting the wave. When you know that you are going to be weak side in those spots, you can't allow them to have a free crash, because if you were under that tower with a minion wave there, they can potentially look for aggressive play. So Inspired going to be out there, will at least get this blue buff, and then we'll spot Youngjae here. So ends up being, you know, +1 camp for now, stolen away there by Youngjae, as he took both the red, or excuse me, the blue, as well as that Gromp.
Yeah, Saint doing really well in mid lane. Bot lane has Pyro as well, so the support is there for Inspired, but he doesn't want to push too deeply. He's going to back away here, is in position to pick up the Scuttle, though, and is going to be able to mitigate a bit of the camps that were taken away by Youngjae in this situation.
Yep, and we'll see. It should just be, you know, a kind of trade of Scuttles. Inspired, I don't know if he's going to go back in for the Gromp or just kind of go back towards his top side and look for some more clearing. Youngjae is going to be going for that topside Scuttle, so that will be uncontested, but Inspired is crossing. I just don't think he's going to get there in time.
Yeah, no way he gets here, so I think Youngjae pretty happy with how things have panned out. Gets a little scrying vision to see that Inspired Wolves are up, so he sees what he's going to, has a good idea of where the Pantheon's going to be. I think especially into a pick with so much early pressure, the point-and-click CC, the execute damage, knowing where he is, really important. And Bull not having a good time. Sorry, not Bull. Well, Bull and Redbird in the bot lane not having a good time in this 2v2 matchup.
No, not at all, and that is kind of concerning here. Look at Saint there. Just throws the charm to the side, knowing that the reflect will be used. So as soon as that charm's coming out, Envy hits the reflect. But Saint had just fired it off to the side because, of course, it's not just that it's mitigated, it's that it's fired back at you, which can then set up for an easy route there for the Mel, which makes this matchup very difficult in the 1v1. Inspired here now, looking for a potential gank. Does have his flash available. No flash there for Envy. There's the flash, the stun, the charm. Envy's got nowhere to go. Inspired takes his just rewards. No first blood for you, Saint. It's going to Inspired.
Great setup there, though, from the mid-jungle of LYON. They knew they had that flash down familiar. And if you get the stun from the Pantheon first, no chance to use the reflect for the charm. Really easy pickup there and a really easy first blood secure.
Yeah, this is absolute comfort right now for LYON. Berserker, though, could be in some potential trouble here. They are going to spot YungJae. Misses on the flag and drag. They do get the early flash out of Lions, though. It was, traded there. Isles flash for Redbirds, so going to be able to trade those flashes at the very least, but LYON is looking really good. Almost up, 800 gold at this point. Berserker ahead in CS in this matchup that is going to be so powerful later on. They're scaling up really well. Mid lane's going great. Inspired's in comfort zone, and Doka's just kind of doing his thing, chilling in topside.
I think it feels pretty bad for Loud so far. The fact that bot lane is struggling a bit. I think playing into the likes of a Lulu Yunara, if they get wave access, they can stack up that passive and you're not landing your skill shots. This is kind of how the lane can pan out. The poke from the Nico, the poke from the Ezreal, if you're connecting, you should be in a good position. But it appears with how it's played out, it just hasn't really been hitting. And now Redbird looking for a gank, doesn't manage to connect there though.
Yeah, Redbird does look for the angle. Had a little bit of time, so tries to find something there. Can't quite do it. Inspired hovering here around mid again, and is going to spot out that ward and look for an invade. So they will get eyes here onto where YungJae was. They know exactly where he was, and it's going to be a reflected charm there. Saint going to be in some trouble here. Envy getting him incredibly low. Going to look for the ulti and finishes him off with the solo. His flash is almost back up. In comes YungJae to back him up. Saint could have just walked it out. He didn't need to throw the charm. He had Inspired behind him, but he throws the charm, and Envy says, thank you very much. I'll take the solo kill.
Just complete disrespect there in that situation. Had ult, had flash. There's just no scenario where you should be dying there. And as you said, if he didn't throw the charm, I don't think it's really possible. We'll see the replay coming through. So Envy initially hits the level up, and the ult damage on Mel got buffed as well, the base damage. Lands the root, reflects the charm. I think Saint was thinking maybe if he's a bit slow on the trigger, I can set up for Inspired. He just ends up sort of burying himself, digging his own grave.
Yeah, that was not a good look at all, but we can see a flash forward there from Shino onto Dokla. Dokla doesn't even have to flash, he just backs it off, but they're going to try to look for the dive here. Dokla desperately trying to get that Mega Gnar ready. I don't think they can look for this. YungJae has to flag and drag out, and that is Dominus, that is flash off of Shino for nothing there from Dokla, and it's a free pass for Inspired to be able to start this up. But this is Saint's stats here in Swiss versus playoffs. He had a remarkable improvement, from that Swiss stage into the playoffs. In Swiss stage, it wasn't even just stats that were looking bad. He was failing in big moments constantly. He was getting picked off. He was losing them games in late game situations over and over and over because of mistakes like what we just saw. So you don't want to see Saint reverting to that form.
Yeah.
Because when he is in that form, he was one of the worst mid laners in the league. We saw him move to a very high level, but he's got to be careful about that. They're going to look for a redive here. There's the stun coming in, the flag, the drag, and the ulti dunks Dokla down. Flashes, but flashes too late. YungJae gets out. The redive here working out for Loud.
Yeah, and I think it was good from Shino and YungJae not to go for that initial dive, but the Mega was nearly there. Wait, be patient, find the second opportunity. They saw Inspired on the Dragon. They knew they had time to go for it. And I think YungJae, it's been a bit of a frustrating game so far. He's been trying to make impact around the map, and it hasn't always come through. But he finally gets himself on the board there with that kill onto the enemy top laner. It is that Dragon picked up for LYON, and as well, I feel like with it being an early Chemtech Dragon, feels pretty nice, knowing you won't be getting a Chemtech Soul. Next one's going to be a Mountain, so we'll see how that ends up panning out.
It's going to be a pretty even game now at this point. Just a couple hundred gold separating LYON from Loud. So not a big deal at all. It really comes down more to the composition, to the setups from the team fights here. And LYON is kind of taking that atypical situation for them where they're actually the ones that are getting the early dragons, that are looking to, stack those objectives. Whereas Loud has been the one, more focusing towards topside, and it is kind of that reversal of roles from what we expect from LYON.
I think also if LYON is getting those early dragons, we've seen them a lot of times willing to hand over dragons if they feel like they're not in the best position to fight. If you have a composition where you have Yunara, Lulu, and you have early dragons picked up, they're going to be patient and not feel pressure at all and not feel obliged to fight when Loud has a good setup.
Yeah, absolutely. You can take those first 2 dragons and you can say, great, you have to contest us at the 3rd. We don't have to show up. We can just take a tower top. We can continue to scale, wait for Berserker to get more and more items, and depend upon his strength in those team fights. And it may be exactly what they look for here. As LYON, their bot lane doing kind of exactly what I said. This is kind of what they count on, what Inspired counts on from Berserker is for him to be put in any matchup and do well and just kind of go for, even farming lane where he is not drawn down there unless he thinks it is a good move for him and for the game.
Yeah, I mean, even the fact that there was the gank down there earlier, Owl's bin, his flash was very respectful with that. It's back up again, so wasn't really anything coming from that. Inspired just continuing to find value, but now we're seeing a big collapse come through. Jungler coming, mid lane coming, looking to see if they can find something more. And Inspired isn't close enough to ult right now.
No, he's definitely not close enough to ult. Saint is not moving, but Envy is heading back towards the mid lane. Berserker takes a chunk of damage. Isles is aware that this dive could be coming in here.
Yeah, Berserker actually ulted early to help clear the wave. So good heads up play there just to mitigate the dive, thin the wave out early. And it feels like all that pressure just negated. Now, Inspired has reset. He's now close enough to ult in, and the play's been negated.
And Saint is even the one moving down, because Saint stayed mid while Envy was roaming. He was the one actually pushing in that wave. Now he gets prio, clears out a ward, is going to just move back towards mid lane now. Well handled there by LYON. As you said, Berserker pops Transcend oneself, is going to be able to clear out that wave, and everything is diffused, just keeping it a nice, calm game. The question is who is going to come out on top in the team fights? Because this is a game with 2 teams that like to play slow-paced, are very comfortable in this game state, really on both sides.
Yeah, and I think Loud, you can definitely see with that comp, they are trying to make things happen a bit more, but they're being very respectful, very patient. It is their first game of the tournament, and you can see that they don't want to make that big overstep, but they are going now.
Yeah, here comes the Grand Starfall. The charm is not going to land. The Pop Blossom coming in. It's not going to land on anyone either, as Saint gets the resets going forward. They're able to take down Envy. Inspired here with a great first ultimate. They had Isles in their back pocket and are able to kill off Envy. And no response really from Loud.
Not sure exactly how that play started, but Envy pushed up pretty deep there. And I feel like the thing is, the Mel into the Ahri feels great, but the Pantheon just feels so frustrating with the fact he can ult down on top of you. You don't have that mobility. The stun connects and you end up suffering. We'll see the replay here. Yet it's pretty overextended. Ends up being a ult in from Inspired, flash stun. There's just not much you can do against that, and the attempted counterplay that comes out from Loud, really not finding anything as well.
Yeah, he kind of had that false sense of security because Redbird was there with him, and Youngjae was walking up mid lane, so he's thinking, okay, yeah, we see their support, but my support's here too, my jungler's coming, but it was LYON who kind of just preempted the play, and Dokla, despite dying once on this redive, is dead even with Shino, so no advantage up there. It is a comfortable game here for LYON. We'll see if there's going to be a fight at this next dragon. It has been LYON getting all of the objectives thus far. They got all 3 grubs. They got that first dragon. They've held on the bot side and are looking very comfortable so far.
Yeah, we do see right now there's a decent amount of vision for the side of LYON around the dragon area, but currently Youngjae's moving in, clearing it out.
Ooh,
there's pings coming out, heavy pings coming out. Oh, Shino's in trouble.
Yeah, Shino in a lot of trouble here. Dokla going to go forward. He flashes, but Dokla trying to chase in. Gets him with the boomerang. It's a solo bolo. You may take me down with your jungler, but I don't need one.
Just a great angle there found by Dokla, able to take down the opposing top lane, and Shino, who's been so hyped in the CB LoL as a strong laner, someone who really likes to take the challenge to his opponents, being taken down game 1 by his opposition.
Yeah, Inspired here, now going to get engaged on. Nice Aegis Assault blocks all the damage. Bullets getting pushed out, polymorphed and knocked back here by Berserker. In comes Envy. The True Shot Barrage is going to land on the Isles. Inspired standing, Inspired fighting. The charm goes wide, but Envy is knocked down. It's a double for Saint. He's looking for a triple. He wants to take down Bull. The barrier will buy some time, but in comes Berserker, and down goes Bull. LYON send Loud packing. They crush the fight.
They get everything they want and more. Solo kill in the top lane, and in the fight, they get such a huge cleanup. Redbird, you're in a lot of trouble there. I don't think he's going to have the damage to finish him off.
He might. The polymorph comes in to buy a little bit of time. Isles trying to kite out, staying out of vision, but now Saint is here, and Saint is looking for a freebie, and he's going to be able to get it. Redbird has got nowhere to go. It's another kill for Saint. It's a 1.5k gold lead for him, a dragon for LYON, and it's them in full control of this game.
And you see here, Loud try to go in uninspired, but it's a Pantheon. He can mitigate so much damage. He dodges away from the flag and drag. They do back away initially to give some space, but again, this middle lane, Youngjae's so low, and it gives that initial, it's not even a reset for Saint. He hasn't popped his ult yet, but he dives forward and just starts getting this cleanup potential. Not much Bull can do in this situation, and it feels like LYON were just waiting to pounce on their opponents, and they crushed them there. Look how hype Dokla is.
Yeah, Dokla feeling really good. That was just beautifully played by Inspired. Small little movements, but sidestep perfectly on the flag and drag. Times the Aegis Assault perfectly as well there with that Pop Blossom landing. You can see the CBLOL versus LCS all-time head-to-head. It is 38-20 in games, but 2026 has not looked as good, and it's not looking as good for Envy now as another kill going the way of LYON. Berserker on fire. LYON are cruising. It's nearly a 5,000 gold lead here at 15 minutes, but Lau gonna try to get something back. Stun comes in, Pop Blossom there to follow, but it's a great gnar back from Dokla. Knocks him away.
God,
he's taunting him! He's taunting him, and Youngjae, he wishes he had some help on the bot side because he's going to get killed off in his own jungle. And Loud now looking for more here, trying to chase in after Dokla. Did Dokla get a little bit too confident? They're not going to go for the play. They know that Pantheon could be coming. He has that ulti ready to respond. And Dokla's just making fun of him, and in comes the Grand Starfall, and down goes Redbird.
Oh, the
LYON can do nothing wrong. Shino is running for the hills, but he's got no flash. The slice will be back up. Inspired still chasing. He wants this kill. Going to be able to tank it up there for Dokla. Dokla looking to try to finish him off. Shino's got nowhere to go, and LYON can do no wrong in game one.
Just feels like they're getting everything they want. Loud try and go for a counterplay, and Dokla is laughing in their faces. This is pretty brutal at this point. It's a 6,500 gold lead. We've said that LYON don't take fights they don't need to. If they think we don't have the right setup, we don't have to go for this. I haven't seen that from them at all this game. It feels like the setup has always been right for them to take these opportunities, and right now they're just crushing Loud into the dirt.
They are absolutely destroying them. When we saw earlier in that Coinbase gold grind, they had already created somewhat of an advantage. That has now exploded since then. And this game is already looking somewhat out of reach here for Lau, but let's see if they can find a play down onto Saint. Youngjae gonna look here. A beautiful charm, well-timed. The Cataclysm comes down, but for what? As Saint's cooldowns are so low on that ultimate here. He's gonna be able to trade the Spirit Rush. Berserker just running in after Bull. That tower is not yours, buddy.
I feel like when you're collapsing onto an Ahri in the side lane who still has a T1 tower up.
Desperation hours.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. The charm was pretty great as well, just to add insult to injury. And now Berserker, he's feeling himself. He's hyped. He's stepping up in their faces, getting damage down. Does take the root, but he just doesn't seem bothered at all. He has Mikhails to back him up as well.
I mean, he's a full item up. Like, look at the itemization. He's 2.4k ahead individually.
Yeah.
We're at 17 minutes, and he's a full item ahead of Bull.
Yeah, and it feels so bad with Ezreal, where that 2-item spike really is where you want to have that point of strength. By the time he gets to it, is Berserker going to have 2 items? Maybe.
Probably.
You know, at this point, it's looking that way.
It is definitely looking that way, as Shino able to defend that top lane tower, at least for now. Berserker just constantly pushing in these waves, harassing down the Loud bot lane. Envy is around, but he is warded out. They really can't get anything. You can see Inspired is waiting in the wings here. Shino going to look aggressively on Dokla once again. Youngjae and Shino constantly going up here, but Dokla is just handling this like the weak side king he is, and now going aggressive, chasing after them. Loud knows they need to try to force plays, but just nothing is working.
Yeah, I think at this point, it is just, you see them constantly looking for plays. It's not even the wrong approach. You have to try and find something, but it is starting to feel a bit desperate.
Youngjae is coming. They're going for it again, but this time Inspired is running up the river. He can respond with the ulti. A teleport coming in,
oh, no.
And I think the Grand Starfall is probably coming as well, but it's another solo for Dokla. He doesn't even need him, but he's got the help, and Saint's going to force a flash, knock down a tower. Another play going the way of LYON.
just feels like nothing can go wrong. Dokla gets the solo kill, but the Ari was there. The Pantheon was there too, just in case something more came from this.
A little drive-by high five. Good hustle there, you know.
Good work, top laner. You know, you got it in you. We're here to show up occasionally. And I think at this point, Loud, I don't see the angle.
No,
I think you're looking at game 2.
It's time to think about game 2, I think, if you are Loud. Try to shake this one off a bit. It was even for a while, but it is crazy to see an 8.5K gold lead pre-19 minutes.
You know?
Plus every single objective has gone the way of LYON.
There was a stat that we were talking about with LYON, the combined kills per minute. They're extremely low. I don't think this game is going to change it too much because combined kills per minute. And Loud, they don't have many kills. So
no, that's true.
I'm not going to change that stat too much at this point. Almost at 9,000 gold lead. Going to be picking up that third dragon as well. It's an Ocean Soul. That's, I mean, it's not too much of a silver lining, but not the most meaningful soul. So Loud not too concerned about that being stacked up. They've got a lot of concerns. That's probably low in the totem pole.
Exactly. 99 problems, but an Ocean Soul ain't one. Yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a perfect game, but honestly, it's not that far off thus far. It is just the 2 kills. There are no objectives on their side really whatsoever. As Dokla, this is a player who has had, you know, a pretty tumultuous history. You know, he obviously won the LCS with Energy. They got to quarterfinals. He had this really big performance at Worlds, but then they had a really kind of a struggle that next year. He ended up getting 6th in 2024 summer. He ended up, you know, not even having a team, then joining 100 Thieves as a coach. Then from there, he ends up in this spot where he's ending up, you know, just subbing in for his top laner. He was playing in Tier 2. When he swaps in for General Sniper, they end up getting 3rd in LTA. They go to Worlds. He looks good again. And then everyone's thinking, oh, my God, this guy's great. He's going to end up on a top team. Well, he had no team planned again at the start of this year.
That's the thing I found the craziest. You know, obviously, you are much closer to the LCS than I am, but I was so shocked that Dokla didn't immediately end up on a team based on what we saw from him at Worlds in terms of branding and in terms of performance. But yeah, I mean, he's showing again what he can do. That he's just so good at performing under pressure when it comes to these big stages.
And, you know, my understanding is that he did have some offers, but only from bottom teams, which he wasn't really interested in. And Zamudo was the intended starting top laner for LYON. Unfortunately for him, he has been plagued by visa issues. He was supposed to play for them last year as well. They couldn't get a visa for Zamudo. And Zamudo's misfortune became, you know, the fortunate for Dokla, as that gave him an opportunity on a very good squad where he has once again been able to deliver. But I think, you know, you talked about it. He is a clutch player. He shows up in these big moments because his start to the year was not good either. He was really looking out of form, but in playoffs looked really, really good. Got a lot of attention with these flex picks that they were pulling off, with these range top laners that they were pulling off, and has looked fantastic so far here in the first game of LYON at first stand, as Shino going to look for him again. Everyone coming up here from Lao, but Douglas going forward. He looks for another solo kill. Bull now coming in, as is Young Jay, as is Redbert. They are sending the entire squad. Douglas says, all right, you're going to get me this time. Ults the wave, tries to get most of the minions, but look at where the rest of the map is. It's the tier 2 mid getting knocked down. It's Saint unanswered on the bot side.
And it's inspired on his Raptors. He's still clearing the jungle. He's got his priorities in order.
That's a jungler right there.
Absolutely. He knows what he's... I mean, he's got a big farm lead still in this game.
Which is the better camp, top laner or Raptors?
I mean, that's very true. I can't disagree.
There's multiple Raptors. There's only one top laner. There is only one Saint, and he might be dying, getting CC'd up, but has the Spirit Rush, lives through the burst coming down. Redbert spends the heal, spends the ulti, but they can't finish him off there. Has the Merc Treads to get out of CC and just Spirit Rush to safety once again.
I think it's good pickups, right, that they got that kill onto Dokla, and, you know, they're trying to get on a Saint. The problem is they're not getting too much in terms of resources, in terms of summoner spells.
And Berserker is just a beast at this point. Pushes Young Jay back, no problem. The experience advantages are also getting pretty big. You're looking down across the board. You know, it's multiple levels in some roles, but even, you know, at its closest, it is like an entire level down in the ADC. I mean, Bull's about to hit 13. Berserker just hit 14. Saint is almost a full level ahead. Inspired is over a full level of experience ahead, and LYON can do no wrong.
At this point, Loud, they want to find a big engage, get onto the right target, but, you know, summoners available for every member of LYON. All the flashes there. You have Mikhail's for Berserker. Berserker has that Infinity Edge coming in. 3 items to 2 in comparison to Bull. it's really hard to see you winning a fight where everyone on the enemy team, you go for that big engage from the Nico, from the Jarvan, and they just flash out of it.
Yep.
And then they just one-shot you with the damage.
Yeah, no one can stop Dokla. I mean, they focused all of their time on trying to put Dokla down, and Dokla is getting multiple solo kills. He's 2-2-2, but right now I feel like he's the one that has most impressed me in this first game from LYON, because he was getting constantly attacked, not getting any help, and able to find multiple solo kills, able to win his matchup heavily, has drawn so much pressure in the side lanes. It's not an impressive score, but it is an impressive performance here from Dokla.
Unfortunately for Loud, he does respawn, so even though they put 4 members top to kill him, he's back bot lane, putting the pressure on again. Herald comes down, puts some more pressure on the mid lane tower, and it just feels like Loud are trapped just at the limit of whatever towers they have up and available, and can't really get a look outside of that. And
they have no vision. I mean, look at their wards, right? You know, there's just nothing on the map on that bot side, where Soul is going to be up here in 10 seconds about there for LYON, and that is going to make things even more difficult.
Okay, they are venturing out. They're like, okay, maybe this is our time to risk it all. Oh, Dokla's in Mega.
Dokla is in Mega here. We'll see if they can try to find an angle. Dokla will have that expire, but is going to just try to push Shino back now. Going to be looking for an angle as Youngjae goes forward, but Inspired happy to take that challenge. The ulti from Shino has already been forced, and Dokla is just taking the 1v1. Loud trying to reinforce as quickly as they can, but it might be too little, it might be too late. Envy going to get found on the side as well. Pop Blossom coming in here from Redbird is going to be landed, but the Cataclysm gets flashed away from, and in comes Saint with the Spirit Rush. He's taking them down one after another. Berserker flashes over the wall. He's going to be able to finish off Bull. Everyone from Loud is falling. The base is going to be crumbling. They're pinging on to the Dragon. They want the Soul.
Might actually move towards the Baron first. Loud try and make something happen. They can't even take out Dokla. They get his flash. They get a decent amount of summoners, but the damages are now. Now they'll look for Dokla.
Yeah, they're going to go for it. Shino and Envy do arrive behind him. That is double TP committed. Dokla hits him with the thumbs up. He just wants to go for the wave. Shino going to be able to finish him off, no problem. You have to think good Gnar to knock him back, but surely he cannot get away. The Golden Eclipse will finish the kill here for Envy. They get something, but the prize is that much greater for LYON on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and you saw the angle when it came to the fight where it looked like maybe they'd be able to catch Dokla initially. They do get him in the end result. But I mean, just the fact Dokla can face tank Shino in this situation, it seems like he's just not taking damage. Redbit, though, finds his angle onto him, gets him, but he still has his flash available. And this is what I mean. They go for the engage, he flashes out. You lose all momentum in the fight. And then, honestly, Loud, they're getting chased down. They're lucky that Envy survives, because if Envy goes down, you get another reset. Maybe you're losing even more members in that situation.
Ooh, we gotta go back to live. Loud are trying to rush this. Inspired is in the back of the pit. I don't think they realize that he is there, and now he's going to reveal himself. Youngjae goes in onto him immediately. Nice Aegis Assault there to block some damage, to buy some time. Berserker pushing Shino back. Youngjae's going to go in. The Pop Blossom on the side only catches Isles, and he has the Mikhails, and Berserker has the damage. They're focusing down the Soul. Going to be able to claim it surely here, as Envy on the side will fall as well. It's only Shino standing. It's a triple for Berserker. It's a dominant win there, as the priceless moment of the game, the Dragon Soul is claimed, and LYON looks to be claiming the Nexus shortly after.
Just too far behind, trying to find the angle in there. But unfortunately, LYON just too crisp this game. Shino may be able to survive longer than the Nexus. We'll see.
He's going to run for it. Dokla trying to chase after him, but even if he gets away, the Nexus can't run. It's got nowhere to go, as the LYON members pushing forward here, looking to claim a dominant game number one. 27 minutes in, a 16,000 gold lead, and they want more, trying to pick up some kills here before they finish the Nexus, but the Nexus falls. LYON claim game number one. He really did. I mean, it is interesting, right? People have very different views on how the game should be played. Inspired is extremely opinionated. I remember when they played against Team Liquid, he was telling us, Liquid just plays the game wrong. They're playing towards bot. You shouldn't do that. That's not the right way to play. And so, you know, for them, they think, I think, more that you blind your bot, you just have a stable bot, and then you play more towards the solo lanes. You look for advantages there. You know, you use them to kind of create those edges where you can farm plates, play towards side lanes. You know, that is more the thought process that I have seen from LYON and from Inspired. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustments they want to make here. A couple bans towards Inspired, you know, not too surprising. We've seen a lot of Xin Zhao bans thus far. And Orianna going to be taken away. Nocturne still not going to be allowed, despite that pairing missing. And it's really just a big focus on these AD junglers, has been really all year long. And that is where the bans are being thrown.
But just interestingly, despite the fact we've got same sides from the teams, and it is obviously Fearless, big shake-up in terms of what is being banned. You know, we saw Loud go for Vi, Karma, Varus. This time they've only maintained that Varus ban themselves. So we'll see what they look to prioritize, and they are just going to go for that Rise off the bat. You know, of all the mid laners we saw kind of toned down, a lot of the control mages got hit leading into first stand, but it was Rise who was kind of left, and he was so strong already before that.
He was, but Cassio and Anivia are both up. I'm more of a fan of the Anivia. I feel like the Cassio matchup is more kind of solved, honestly, to me, where people just feel so comfortable in it at this point. I do think that Anivia not only can create a lane advantage and do fine in lane, but it's very difficult for Rise to play against in the team fights too. So will be interesting. Looks like it might just be Seraphine Ashe. Whether they go the Seraphine here or not, they'll probably grab it on 3, I would assume, because I don't think that anyone's going to take Seraphine away without that Ashe being up.
Yeah, we did see yesterday there was that sort of flex where, you know, you leave the support pick available. Maybe if they go something like a Nautilus, you can go the Braum. That's what we did see. You have that option. One thing, if you do go Ashe plus something else second, it kind of locks you into picking that support on 3, so less ability to counter. They are going to go for that Cassio, though. This is something that Saint played a couple of times so far this year.
Ooh, so it's going to be Kalista coming in. So Kalista Renata, not a surprise, is, you know, pretty powerful against really heavy commitment, against a lot of engage. But the thing is, when you're playing against Ashe Seraphine, if they can just keep space, they can kind of poke and prod, and Renata can really struggle against matchups where you get outranged. So we saw this yesterday too, where we saw this early Renata come out in the first series that I was casting, and then the other team can just say, all right, great, we're going to play a long-range comp.
Yeah, Bull is a Kalista specialist. In the LCK, we often saw him get Kalista and Draven bans. It's like a pick that is his forte. But I think Kalista into Ashe, Cassio, Seraphine, that's not a fun
Good
time.
luck in esports.
Yeah. We've seen Kalista Renata played into Ashe Seraphine as like an answer, but I feel like independently, it's not that fantastic a matchup. You kind of need outside interference. You need a gank.
Yeah.
So we need to see what Young Jade's going to be able to play. The fact that they have the Rise is obviously good because you have that Realm Walk to move down, and the Cassio matchup early on, it's not a matchup that's super punishing in the early stages. So I think for Loud, all in on the bot matchup. You have to impact that matchup and get this cluster ahead.
And that's why I think Malphite's actually a super smart ban, because you have 3 champions with no dash who are going to be very vulnerable to that engage. We already know you basically have to force it. You can't just play a slow farm and out style lane as the Kalista Renata and be in an okay spot. You're going to get poked down, you're going to get whittled down, you're going to get outscaled. So it is going to be a lot of these junglers that maintain the focus here. Zen, of course, can go either way. You know, it can be top or jungle, but even more jungle bans here. 4 out of the 5 from LYON are targeting there, and 4 out of the 5, honestly, from the other side. So 8 jungle bans, 2 taken out in that first round. So you are getting pushed down that tier list quite a bit for the AD junglers at this point.
Yeah, pool's being trimmed very heavily at this point. I feel like maybe for the side of Loud, like a Lee Sin is a potential thing with the setup from the Rise and the pressure. Mundo on top of this Ashe Seraphine is just disgusting. When we've seen Mundo with the Ashe Seraphine, it's so powerful. You buffing up, he runs forward. It's a target to chain the ult from the Seraphine onto to extend it. And also, if you're a Kalista, you know, you can stack spears on that Mundo all day. You have to stack so many before you can rend and actually take him out.
Yeah, exactly. It's carpal tunnel waiting to happen there for Kalista. It's going to take a lot of spears for sure. And with that Trundle being banned by Loud, they don't have the kind of obvious response that you would want to pick into the Mundo. And they still are going to have to be blinding on that top side. No real engage just yet has been picked up here for Loud. Considering the Sion, I do think it makes sense. You need some space creation here on this team, and it is a relatively safe blind, but still no real guaranteed go buttons, where on the other side, you both have low commitment engage with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, as well as things like the Encore, the Flash Petrifying Gaze. So LYON does have a lot more go buttons, and we'll see if they can actually fix that here with their jungle pick. I mean, you can go Lee Sin, you can go Wukong. I think Wukong might fit the bill best because I feel like they need a go button.
Yeah, I think they need something to start the fight, but also something that's going to have that early pressure. They end up going for the Aatrox, which I don't think really achieves either of those for me.
Yeah, I feel like when I'm looking at what Loud has, if they get really far ahead, you could snowball this game. But if you do not, I think it's going to be so hard to fight through a Mundo into all of the AoE CC and slows from Ashe, from Cassio, from Seraphine. You know, the Encore gets such incredible value because there's all these low-range champions.
You know, I think one of the reasons they might have picked the Aatrox is...
are we getting the Vayne? Oh, we get Vayne top here from Dokla. You blind the Scion, you best be prepared. The Varus, of course, was banned out, but he just goes right to the Vayne. And this is what he showed against Morgan. Of course, that was into the Camille, so very different matchup. But you have Scion here, and you have not really a great ganking jungler in the Aatrox, which I think makes the Vayne that much more attractive.
Yeah, and I think with the comp that LYON already had, I feel like they ticked all the boxes. They had frontline, they had DPS, they had, you know, engage as well from the bot lane. I think Dokla could kind of play anything he wanted with this counter pick, so felt comfortable going for that Vayne. I think maybe the reasoning for the Aatrox from Loud could have been because Aatrox is a pretty good pick into Scion, so maybe it was a bit of a denial, but if you end up just giving Dokla this Vayne pick, I don't think he's bothered at all. Yeah.
And he is very comfortable on these range top lanes. It is not just something he randomly pulled out, it's something he loves to play in solo queue. He loves a lot of these niche champions, these counter picks. I know when he was coming back into the LCS, after having coached 100 Thieves, he had been spamming Garen as the counter to some of these matchups. He loves playing Varus, he loves playing Vayne, loves playing Quinn, and all of these style of champs. So if you give him the window, he will take it, and LYON have confidence in his ability to pull it off, and he doesn't necessarily feel like he has to dominate in the 1v1 early on. I remember speaking to him about it, and he's very comfortable saying, I actually feel like I outscale in a lot of these matchups, so as long as I'm farming and I'm not dying to ganks, he's feeling really, really good.
Well, in this game, your team scales super hard, and already we said you need, as Loud, to focus your attention around bot lane. So if they start putting attention towards the Vayne, to set the Vayne behind, it's never really going to achieve that much, and it just means that you're not protecting your bot lane where Clifton needs to be ahead. I think there's just too many fires to put out right now, and a jungler in the Aatrox who isn't the best at setting up those early ganks. So I think Loud need an early lead. We need to see, hopefully, the Rise make some realm warps early to get the ball rolling.
And we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. They need someone to step up. You need to have at least one winning lane. If you have no winning lanes against Inspired, he's just going to get to do exactly what he wants. He's going to track you everywhere on the map. So we're looking for that from Loud. Can Bull and Redbird be an X factor down on that bot side, find some all-ins, start to snowball this game to really push it over into Loud's favor?
Also notably, no cleanse from Bull. Has gone for the barrier, which makes sense when you want to prioritize the 2v2, having that barrier available. But it does mean once 6 is hit, so hard to play.
You're never moving. If you get hit by 1 CC, you are dead 100-0. So
yeah,
I agree. But they clearly are at least kind of drawing a line in the sand, and that line is the early game. They're saying we must get ahead early. And Young Jay going to be starting on the top side. So is Inspired. These are both very much kind of full clear style junglers.
Double camping.
Yeah, he is double camping, and you can see Loud. This is the last time that they were actually, you know, at an international tournament. It's been a couple years for them, so has been a while since they have been able to make a run here internationally. And the roster almost entirely changed since then. So a lot of these new players stepping up, so much excitement in Brazil around these new crop of young players. Talked to with Furia, obviously, but Chino as well has been such a story. And it is level 2. Nice sidestep on the handshake there for Isles. But I'm not sure if you've heard this story from Chino. I've heard this repeated a few times from a few people, but I've never been given a source to it, so I don't know if it's 100% confirmed.
Is it the 80 carry thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was an 80 carry player, and he basically thought that all the top laners were not good in the league, and he says, I'm just going to swap to top lane, and then is instantaneously the best top lane in the CB LoL. And if that is true, that is a really cool story, to have that confidence and then be able to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
He saw a gap in the market, you know, and he went for it. I feel like I had a lot of high hopes for him. I think he's not yet in this series been given a great opportunity to really excel. Last game matchup, playing them next into Gnar, it's a tricky matchup. This game matchup,
have fun, buddy. Your jungler's clearing to the other side, and you're playing against Vayne.
And bot lane, we saw Redbird and Bull get the early level 2, right? Something you definitely want to get. The handshake didn't connect, and already the health bars are starting to suffer in this 2v2 matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, they're down heal. Redbird has to base. Their 2v2 is already screwed. The wave is pushing away from them, and you're having to base with no summoner in this aggressive matchup where you get heavily outscaled. So that is pretty brutal for Loud already to start things off. You know, you're Young Jay here looking at this bot lane. He can't even go for the bot lane scuttle, even though he's playing with that Kalista, because he knows their 2v2 has gone so bad. So he's going up towards that top side. And we can see Dokla, he's going to just flash past that devastating smash, trying to knock down Shino, will force a flash of his own. And I think that's a great trade there for Dokla. Without flash, there's not much of a chance to really set anything up. Youngjae has no smite, trying to finish this off. Will be able to do it, but here comes Dokla. Flash to get the slow. The knockback doesn't stun him into the wall, but will it matter? Inspired hits the briefcase. Youngjae is getting slowed down. He is getting chased down, and he's got nowhere to go. That is going to be first blood for Dokla and a blue buff.
And look at the confidence. He didn't even ghost in that play. He just knew, I can run him down. We have the time. We're going to be able to catch him. The Condemn, super close to actually hitting the stun. Didn't quite, but it got him far enough back that they're able to make the play. And yeah, so Loud, not the greatest start with a composition that definitely needed it. Here, Dokla got slow, just goes for the flash, says, okay, you know, not the best start of the trade for me. I'm going to flash to make sure that it finishes good.
And he knew he had the lethal tempo stacked, and also the soul furnace was popped, and so he flashes past, breaks the soul furnace, so you're not going to have that pop of damage. Youngjae had to flash, but this was just greedy, and on the bot side, Redbird is having to flash away. This game is already a disaster here for Loud. It feels like 4 minutes in, it's kind of slipping away from them. This is Dokla last time he played on Vayne. This was against Team Liquid. Morgan had been running the show for top laners, you know, in those 1v1s, was doing so well. And Dokla brought this out against Morgan's Camille. Had a great game, despite being focused a number of times, despite losing his tower early. It just didn't really matter. He was able to scale and really be effective in the team fights.
Yeah, and I feel like he's going to be in a great position for that here. He's got the front line, he's got the support with the Seraphine.
He hasn't even bought. He's rich.
Yeah. 600 gold ahead already.
Yeah, that is going to be really tough for Shino. Youngjae looking for a wraparound gank here. They need something to work.
Anything.
Saint has no TP, so they could look to set it up here with the Rune Prison. Saint going to be on the run, is only level 5. Envy has a level 6, but he's just going to kite back. They don't know where Mundo is. They are just going to back right off, but Mundo was getting pinged on the bot side. I'm surprised they didn't continue to chase with the Realm Warp, at least try to get a flash, because I think they spotted Inspired. I saw red pings on that Tri-Brush. So I don't know if they were just saying maybe he's here or what happened, but they don't commit to the play. I think Saint loses nothing.
Not willing to run into the potential Petrifying Gaze, right? Envy was already
level
low.
5.
Did he not hit level 6 on the minions there? Oh, well then, I don't know. I think it just feels bad when you have a need to get ahead early and you've gone for this Aatrox pick, who just, we're seeing from these gank attempts, it's not really coming to fruition.
No.
And it's not that he's not trying, it kind of feels similar to game 1, but game 1 he was on the Jarvan and he went for 3 or 4 attempts, he did finally get that gank, but what can you really do in the Aatrox? You run in, you throw the chains down, you maybe land a Q.
And what's their setup? A flash Rune Prison? You have no engage on this team.
It's that. I really think they needed a pick that can set up or follow it better.
That's why I thought Wukong would be the answer, because all the other good AD junglers that were engaged were banned out. I thought the Malphite ban was really, really smart.
Yeah.
But they are going to look for Redbird here. Remember, Redbird has no flash at all. He is put incredibly low. Bull is low as well. Good handshake pulling onto Berserker. But Redbird, I think he's going to get ran down, slowed down. He's trying to get out of there. They are a little bit hesitant to chase, but the volley does find him. He shields himself up. The bailout is there. He will escape. Looked like a little bit hesitant to chase in. I don't think they had eyes on the Aatrox, but they do have eyes on the Rise, and Inspired's got his eyes on the prize. Knocks down the blue man in mid lane. It's another kill for LYON.
Yep, going so well for them. Bot lane going good, mid lane going good. Plate picked up as well, and I think Isles and Berserker not going too aggressive in that situation, could have definitely stepped a bit more, but being respectful. They know they're in a winning position. They just need to respect the Kalista and not get caught into an all-in where she's going to rend them, and there's no way they lose this lane from here.
Yeah, it is going to be really, really tough. And Dokla going a little bit of HP here, so not just rushing in towards the Blade of the Rune King or anything like that. And does have the upgraded tier 2 boots. He has the Berserker Greaves. He has the Ghost, so has a lot of move speed here. Shino going to look for the all-in here. Ghost has just popped early, and I think he's gone way too far. Going to get knocked back. He has the Spellbook Ignite. He will pop it on a Dokla. Dokla put low. Shino still has the flash, but Dokla is chasing forward. He's going to be looking to finish him off. Shino has to flash to get out of there. Dokla has no flash to follow, and Envy is behind him, so Dokla's going to look for the kill. He goes in. The barrier gets popped. enough and keeps him alive. It's a shutdown in air quotes solo kill there as Rise escorts him in and Shino claims his prize.
A little bit of hitting there from Envy, getting some value from the Realm Orb finally, and Shino kind of commits everything to that play to make it work. But I think it's one of these things that will mitigate the pressure from Dokla. It's not going to stop it completely. You can see committing to this play here, goes for the ult. Dokla goes to try and get some space, but the Soul Furnace was popped there midway through the ult to get the damage down. And combined there with the Ignite, Dokla's already so low, trying to chase down, Flash gets enough distance, and then the cooldown of the Soul Furnace comes up again.
Oh, we got to look at bot because they're going to try to turn this one around. In comes YoungJay. They're looking for the play. Isles is level 5, so he's got no way out. Berserker is going to get caught as well. It's going to be a double kill here for YoungJay as Loud roars to life. Finally finds something as Bull hit 6 and used it to great effect to set up his jungler.
Yeah, great moves there. Didn't have the ult from the Seraphine available yet to mitigate, and YoungJay sliding in there on the Aatrox. Seeing some life from Loud now, but Saint is here and he's healthy.
Yeah, and there's a ward in that brush. Misses the first Q, though. Is going to be able to hit the Petrifying Gaze. Redbird is gone. He flashes forward. Bull is in trouble. He still has the barrier, but it doesn't even matter. The minions can't help out enough. Saint gets an easy double and survives.
And that feels so bad. Just when Loud gets that early pressure they wanted, the double kill, it gets turned around, answered back. Saint matches it now,
Three
though.
members top. There's Ghost available here for Envy. Inspired is there to cover. I don't think they're going to want this, but they might be able to stop Inspired from claiming the grubs. But it looks like for now they're just going to be heading back because mid lane is getting pushed in, bot lane is getting pushed in. And YoungJay hopping into the pit, trying to steal one. Inspired claims that first grub, but does use his smite, so YoungJay should be able to grab one, and does.
I think YoungJay can get one and get out, but already we have the bot lane of LYON has moved over to mid, so I think wouldn't really be able to stay around for a fight. Inspired also very tanky, very healthy already at this point. Hard to take down, hard to focus down. Gold lead still in favor of LYON. It definitely did a bit of a dip and then bounced back up with the bot lane plays. Right now the concern is Saint pretty far ahead in that mid lane matchup on this Cassiopeia. And a lot of champions on the enemy team that this Cassiopeia does very well into.
And look how far Envy is from Roa. And Roa's already done now for Saint. Envy has got a long way to go to get that completed. So Saint going to be stacking up early here on that. Ashe has been moved down towards the bot lane once again as Bull was looking to try to catch someone from LYON in transition. Won't be able to do it just yet, though. It is going to be Cassio they're looking for now. You can see 3 members there from Loud heading in towards Saint. He's going to try to kite out, but he has no flash and he has no ulti. He has no chance. It's a shutdown there for Envy. Another good punish here from Loud. They're back in the mix. The gold lead almost eliminated.
Good pickup. More plays like this, exactly what Loud needs. And finding opportunities to challenge, finding moments where, you know, Saint a little bit pushed up in lane, didn't have the flash available from when he burnt to bot. If they keep chaining these summoners being down and finding kill opportunities, this is where they can find some success.
It's absolutely what they need to go for because they have no traditional hard engage, right? So it's basically punishing missing summoners. You got to be able to just run in there and hit a room prison or some sort of CC, a handshake to be able to set it up. And they have been able to find a number of good plays. YoungJay now in a pretty good spot. Unfortunately, only a couple hundred gold ahead for him, but still feeling good about it. And Envy has now grabbed his Roa, so going to be stacking up as well. Dokla on that top side is still going to be working in towards his first completed item.
Yeah, you saw YoungJay moving into the Dragon, but does back off, doesn't really have the presence from the team. And actually, we're getting a swap from Loud. So we'll see if Dokla, I mean, he has both sums, so should be safe here. He's also playing very respectful. Yeah. This means Loud giving up the second Dragon, but potentially trying to make an aggressive play on the top side. But Dokla is wise to it and doesn't get caught out.
Yeah, I mean, he knows everyone from his team is bot side. They're not showing anyone to contest the Drake. Where could they be? They can be top side. So he's actually going to go see if he can spot out the jungler. He knows that they could be looking for a dive. I don't think he can defend this. Vayne has no wave clear whatsoever, so you're just going to have to back off until someone from your team gets towards that top side. But it is Hex Rift, so Inspired's going to be out on the map much faster. Saint is here now, and Inspired has arrived. They're going to look for a potential fight as Saint is chasing after Envy. 3 members strong on the top side here from LYON as they are trying to get zoned off from this top lane tier 1 by Loud. But looking to skirmish, and now the Ashe arrow going to be coming in. Nice dash away from YoungJay. It does connect in onto Bull, but no one in range to follow up on that.
Yeah, ends up not connecting onto a target it can really follow up on, but the presence from LYON does force Loud away.
Realm Warp going to be coming in there from Envy, and you can see no response right now in the bot side there as Shino's pushing up that. So Loud starting to play the map well. They zone Dokla off the top side. They're able to get some plates on there, deny some minions. They get some plates on bot side as well. Still lying in wait on this top side, looking to try to punish Saint, who has no flash for about another minute or so. Does have the Petrifying Gaze. If he plays far back, it's going to be tough, but they are going to look for him with the Callista all over the wall here. Saint has got to try to sidestep, and he does sidestep that handshake, kiting back into the tower for the hostile takeover there. The CC just doesn't end, and Saint with no flash just can't get out.
Yep, good setup there. Good on the immobile Cassiopeia. They were waiting for a while, but just eventually said we're just going to force the play. And this passage of play, the swap to top, getting the silence some alone time, it's been gold positive for Loud. Just eking some advantages there. They did end up giving over that second dragon for it, so there was a cost to this whole endeavor, but they have managed to pull ahead in terms of gold. It's just what they can do from this point here. You know, LYON are this team who are very slow to play this one out. Generally, if they don't see a favorable situation, if they think they can scale better, which I'm sure they feel that way in this game, they are happy to play it slow. So Loud, you need to keep pushing the pace of the game forward.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it. Dokla looks like he's just going to be going for experimental Hexblade probably up on that top side as Shino making use of some powerful support itemization, going in for that Frozen Heart here second. There's double 80 carry on the other side, so it's going to be nice to have that up end available as Berserker pushes in mid. Saint has reset back out towards that top side, has Swifties to try to deal with some of this, you know, kind of relatively weak engage that does have, Loud does have. And he has his flash available once again, so pretty much all summoners are back now, basically across the board.
Yeah, we'll see if they find a window to burn them. I think with a lot of immobile champs on this side of LYON, you really want to just be trying to burn these summoners as often as possible for Loud, so you can set up for these plays, especially going into those objectives. With it being a Hextech Soul as well, that's a big win con for Loud. That's the sort of Dragon Soul you're hoping for when you have pressure on to get an advantage early. Obviously, would be a long way before they can stack their soul up, but it is a win con for them.
It absolutely is, and Redbird has completed his Mikhail, so great answer to that potential engage from Berserker as Dokla taking a bad end of a trade on the bot side. Ghost going to be popped here by Envy, looking for a fight against Saint, and Saint is losing out on that trade, has to retreat back. Has been getting pressured pretty heavily, and as a result is down a little bit of experience, but they are the same level for now. Nice root lair landed onto Redbird. He is put low. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow does land. Redbird is knocked down. Doesn't have the timing on the self Mikhails. Can't get it off as he is CC'd down and killed. Yeah,
doesn't get himself Mikhails out, doesn't flash, and Bull's ult, unfortunately, not quite available to get him out of that sticky situation. So just a nice kill pickup there for LYON, and they get the Herald to boot.
Yeah, they are going to be able to grab the Herald. Shino doing great in the 1v1, though, you have to say, at this point. As Dokla's the one getting pushed in. They're now moving Envy down towards bot. Been very active on the map, trying to make these plays towards side lanes, but Dokla is going to base. He's not going to be messing around with it. Experimental Hexplate has now been completed, and it is going to be Shino TPing out towards that top side. Bit of a weird lane assignment when you're rushing a pretty early Frozen Heart to be placed against the Cassio, but Vayne is not easy either, so there's not really a great side lane matchup there for Shino.
Honestly, I feel like he was doing pretty good into the Vayne, especially
so
when he had item advantage. You know, Dokla going towards his Hexplate has just now completed it. But Shino does feel very bulky at this point, and I think Saint doesn't quite have the damage to cut through, even though he doesn't have that much magic resist. You'd have to pump him so heavily. So I think for now he can just hold it, moves Envy down bot lane to pick up that tower.
You can see the Coinbase gold grind advantage there for Envy in the mid lane, about 500 gold in his favor for now, as it is Loud with really all the advantages on the top side. And some slight edges here for LYON on the bot side. Saint looking like they're going to try to jump in. Nice backstep from Youngjae. Avoids the Petrifying Gaze, but pops the World Ender, so it's just going to have that running out. Inspired looking to try to claim this. Pops the max dosage. He's getting CC'd down. I don't know if the healing is going to be enough here. He gets knocked down. Inspired got way overconfident with that ulti, and now Sage is in trouble. Trying to kite back to that tower. Has the flash. Will have to use it, but they can tank it forever. Sage is on the run. The tower's trying to help him out, but I don't think he has the damage. Youngjae comes in. It's a sword to the heart. It's a couple kills for Loud, and it's their first major lead of the series.
Youngjae going huge there, and this is the thing with the Aatrox into the Mundo. The passive stopping the CC kind of irrelevant against an Aatrox who can proc it so easily with those sweet spots. And Shino's so tanky, he walks in the turret, starts to get low, the harness kicks in, and it's like he's got a whole nother health bar you have to burn through.
Berserker in trouble, taking this fight here against Bull, but now in comes Isles. The heal is there as well, gonna try to land the Encore. Good sidestep by Bull. He had no flash. That would have been his life if it landed.
Close one there. Did have the barrier available, so maybe could have saved him, but it was definitely close. If the follow-up was there for Miles, maybe could have taken him down. But Loud now having the pressure, able to pick up the second dragon for themselves, seemingly uncontested. This is a much better spot than what we saw from the early game.
It really is. I mean, the scaling's still good for LYON, but they've got to be careful. This was just straight up overconfident from Inspire.
Yeah, I think feeling super tanky in the Mundo, like he can walk forward. They are the ones who aggress here and move. And it's just so easy to proc the passive on the Mundo, doesn't have that CC immunity. They kind of just charge him down and he doesn't get a chance to really get a ton of value from the ult. And then here, the fact that Saint's like, oh, I can kite them, I have the tower, and Shino just kind of ignores it, and the Cassiopeia damage again. No magic resist. Doesn't really matter. He's just so bulky at this point of the game.
Yep, very tanky at this point. And Inspired also got no value from his W in that fight. You know, he didn't actually get it down as he was getting stunned. Had he been able to pre-pop that W as SCC's landing, it is such a massive amount of mitigation. But if you are not timing that correctly, if it comes out when you're already low, it's a useless ability. It doesn't do anything at all for you. So much of the tankiness of Mundo is about how you use that. The Ren comes in to slow down Isles. He has the Blast Cone, will be able to get back to safety, as Berserker is there to cover, but still keeping this pressure up. And look, Dokla can't even walk up on top side, so there's 4 members here from Loud. They're just moving around the map, and you gotta say it, they're out macroing LYON at this point of the game.
Yep, good moves, getting a goldie, 2,000 gold up. The crowd definitely feeling enthused now. And kind of reminiscent to the series we had yesterday with that game 1 so rough, for the bounce back in game 2. Yeah, similar to what we saw from being
Nice handshake is going to land there on a Berserker. The hostile takeover lands, but it's the arrow coming out. Beautiful McHale's there. That's a Captain Jack from the support.
Yeah, Redbird gets him out of it. Ult down now from Berserker. Not really any objective to play for at the moment as well.
Losing the flash, though, hurts from Redbird for sure. So he's going to have to be a bit careful now.
I feel like when you get a cluster, it's not as bad. You know, you have that safety net.
That's true.
We obviously did see him get punished earlier and die when that ult wasn't available, but gives you that second out as an immobile sort of enchanter pick compared to what is typically available.
You can see the Dead Man's has been completed for Inspired, as well as that Sterix for Youngjae. Inspired still trying to continually scale up here. Doesn't really have much MR at all. I assume he's probably going to go Spirit Visage next would be my guess. Just such a powerful item there on Mundo. And you do need to respect the damage that the Rise can do.
Yeah, I mean, as well, we were so critical of the Aatrox pick and how we felt we needed more early pressure, we needed more impact, but Youngjae really having a great game for himself, and in these, he's been able to find angles to access these fights, and now is just a big threat. Isles does get out off the tether just in time.
Yeah, had the angle to walk out of the Infernal Chains. It's pretty easy to walk out the side of it. It's impossible to walk out the back of it. The Herald going to get dropped here, as it seems more of like a timeout Herald than an intentional Herald, as they got that quite a long time ago, and it is not going to do anything at all. So wasted Herald here for LYON. They are struggling a bit, and Dokla, you know, despite feeling very confident in this matchup, he brings it out. He is still scaling. He is still, you know, in a decent spot, but he's about 1,000 gold behind Shino, who's been doing well in the 1v1, who's been the one, you know, receiving that help, receiving that pressure, and it's allowed Shino to get into a good spot and constantly be pushing forward, not allowing Dokla to farm plates, not allowing Dokla to look for the 1v1s he would have wanted.
Yeah, also Dokla hasn't really built to like shred tanks. I know Vayne always does cut through tanks, but they're definitely built.
Kraken.
Yeah, or like Ginsu's or something like that. So hasn't really built in a way that's going to cut through Shino, and Shino has definitely built in a way to mitigate the Vayne as much as possible. So it has just kind of neutralized that matchup. You can see from how the Cold Grafters panned out.
Yeah, it's a big swing. It's definitely a big swing, but still within 1.5k gold at this point, and Dokla does believe that Vayne just scales really, really well, likes getting a bit of health, making it easier to team fight, and so we'll see how he performs in the team fights, because if you're not going to win in the lane, then the pick has to get it done later, and LYON do have a lot of powerful scaling here. Always have to talk about the power that Seraphine has in the later stages as well, as Isles is getting more and more gold, closing in on his second item, which is a very big spike for Seraphine.
Yeah, I mean, that spike is just so crazy, the healing value you have available. And we haven't really seen any healing cut apart from on the
Oblivion Orb and the Executioners, yeah.
Yeah, and Renata not the best at applying it onto multiple targets. I'm wondering if we start to see other members.
Realm Orb coming in, they're going to look for Berserker. Does he have to flash? No, has the confidence to just back up, and now they stun up Redbird here. Just got a little bit of damage down on him, but the Fate's Call was available, and they're not going to be able to go for anything else. Saint, though, moving over into the area. A lot of members converging around this dragon as it's going to be spawning in 15 seconds. It would be soul point for Loud if they can get it. Would put them only one away from that Hextech Soul that they would love to get, and Berserker will not have his Enchanted Crystal Arrow for this fight. Yeah, and we know that LYON have given over dragons before when they feel like the fight setup isn't good, but this is a big one to give over. Hextech Soul so strong. They're giving it though. Look where Dokla is. He's still on top side. Has the Essence Reaver completed. He's just going to play for the tower. Yeah. And they're going to TP up to try to answer it here. So now LYON will be kind of that one potential team fight away from losing the game. That's the risk you play when you give 3 dragons. It puts so much emphasis on getting that one fight right. That one last fight that you're playing around. And the thing is, it's like, even if you get the fight right, but you lose the soul, with it being Hextech Soul, so much power is afforded to it. If you know, maybe you get 4 kills, they get 2 kills, and they get the dragon, you still don't feel good about that, because the Hextech Soul's there for the rest of the game. So it does put LYON in a delicate position, but they've done this many times before. They often opt into this and clearly have confidence that a later time is going to be better for them. And they're looking at the spikes they'll approach and be like, hey, we can do better than this. We can get penetration on Berserker. Here comes the ulti from Shino looking for Berserker. Berserker definitely has to flash here, you'd have to think. Gets handshook back, and he flashes late. Is going to be able to get hit by the hostile takeover. In comes Inspired, as well as Saint, and the TP is there from Dokla, but it's quite far away. I don't know if LYON can really find a re-engage, but Saint seems to think so. Petrifying Gaze does land onto Shino. He is grounded, he is slowed, but he is very, very tanky. Running back as Berserker and Saint stepping forward. Youngjae in some trouble. He's going to get rooted up. He's going to get stunned. He's going to flash, but the tower is not healthy enough. It's a shutdown, and now it's a flash forward there as all of LYON pile in. Dokla's going big, looking for more kills. Takes down Shino as LYON roar to life. Envy on the side trying to threaten. Has the ghost popped, but can't find an angle. They could go Baron. They can. They're really healthy, Inspired, full HP, and the healing and shielding from the Seraphine. This should be an easy pick. I don't even think Loud can contest this, to be honest. But they are looking to walk over and see if they can find an angle in, but no one's really low other than the Seraphine. Yeah, this is risky if you try to go for it. I mean, Envy over the wall may try to look for something here, but no jungler, no chance to grab it. And it is going to be a big lead now there for LYON, setting themselves up for success. They found the angle, and they hard forced it. They just fully committed to that play. Yep. Oh, Inspired. Inspire going to get found here by Bull as well as Redbird. He has no ulti. He may just be going down. Flashes back over the wall. Stays safe for now. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to be sidestepped there by Bull. Well played by him. Let's see this fight in mid lane one more time. So Loud feel pretty happy about how the initial play goes, right? They get a flash from Berserker that's desynced from the dragon. They get the tower. But the thing is, LYON are in this position where they feel confident to go aggressive. They're deathballing with the Seraphine, with an Arch, with a Cassiopeia. They land the slows and they push forward, and I think Loud like, okay, we're in the tower, we're safe. Youngjae steps a little bit too far forward, and once those slows connect and the Seraphine starts landing roots, the chase potential is insane here. It really is. I mean, they have so much move speed across these champions. You got Deadman's Plate Mundo. You have a Ghosted Vayne with Experimental Hex Plate. You have bonus speed from the Seraphine. Everyone slowing them down, chasing after them. It's a big fight win there for LYON, but still 2 minutes until this dragon here. They're going to have to deal with that. And this is Inspired's accolades here. You know, his performance in the LCS. Nearly a 70% win rate across 3 different teams, 3 MVPs, first 3-team All-Pros. Has won 5 titles, been to 6 internationals, won an MVP and LEC as well. To me, he is still the best jungler in the West, though Skewmon is having an incredible year and obviously contesting that. Yeah, very decorated, absolutely, and Redbird very tanky right now. He's going to flash back. Saint still chasing after him. That is the flash, that is the heal. And that is Redbird getting punished for a bit aggressive positioning, I think it's fair to say. You know, we talked about LYON giving up that dragon, the risk it entailed to find a better fight. It seemed like they found it, and now the arrow connects here. Envy has his flash, but will it be enough? Youngjae coming in on the side. He seems to have found Isles. Isles in a lot of trouble, has no flash himself. He's going to be knocked down. There's the reset for Youngjae as he comes in and stops that attack in its tracks here. LYON do get a tower, but they do lose their support for it.
And I don't think getting nearly as much from the Baron power play as you'd hope, right? You see at the top of your screens, Red Bull Baron power play only plus 700 gold. It's not a huge amount. We are going into this next Dragon fight, and this is kind of what everything came down to. Yes, LYON's comp feels really strong at the moment. They got some big spikes. The penetration from Berserker, finished model reminder, Liandry's for Saint, Spirit Visage for Inspired, but they need to win this fight. They don't have Flash on Berserker, it's not available. Saint's Flash down as well. Critical summoners that they don't have access to going into this.
And the Flashes are there for Envy and Bull on the other side. They're going to TP in. Are they going to look to try to start the fight out themselves? Isle's still running out from base here. He is behind the play, so it is a 4v5 for now. You can see Envy on the side trying to find an angle to get in. Will they look for it here? Inspired just standing confidently in front of the team, creating space for Berserker. They need to protect their carries, and Inspired is the man to do it. The canister are going to get knocked out of him, though. They do get some damage down on Shino, but look at Envy on the side. He finds Isles, and in goes Shino, and Redbird is trying to take over here with the hostile takeover, but he misses everyone, and Dokka's going aggressive. But on the side, Sage has been found. Youngjae trying to take him down. It's up to Dokka. He's in the backline. He's battling against Bull. Bull flushes away, but he's taken down by Dokka. Berserker stands. He fires. He falls. It's up to Dokka now. He tries to roll back, but he just can't do it. It's a triple for Envy. It's LYON winning the fight, and they will claim the soul off the back of this.
And LYON crushed the fight. It came down to this for the soul. The fans are getting loud for their team. Soul in pocket. We see Envy come up huge. This mid laner who punched it for them in the domestic playoffs finds a massive spread of kills there. Dokka trying everything to make it back in that team fight, but it's just not enough. The angles of approach, so difficult to deal with there.
That is massive for LYON. And Dokka, I'm not sure if he died with his flash up, if there was something that he could have maybe used it on. He got into the back line, was able to take down Bull, kind of in a 1v2 against Redbird and Bull. Dokka was quite effective, but the missing flashes there from Berserker and Saint led to that priceless moment from MasterCard. LYON loving it, getting the fight win, and getting the Dragon.
And we see it's Envy on this flank is immediately such a threat to Isles. And what LYON's comp wants to do is stay grouped, use like the AoE off the Seraphine, the AoE buffing. Isles gets removed immediately. Saint's in an uncomfortable position, and we see Dokka. He's doing as much as he can on this backline, but Berserker gets rooted just before Redbird dies. Gets that root, I believe it was him. And then it's just Inspired left. And yes, he's tanky, but with no damage from the rest of the team, nothing he can do.
And I think Saint just kind of lost track of where Redbird was, because Saint was hugging that wall, and he got handshook over the wall into the Scion as well as the Aatrox. And that handshake from Redbird, to me, is a game changer. Because if he doesn't get pulled into that team, he can kite back. Saint doesn't die early. It's a completely different team fight. It's a completely different game. So great punish there from Redbird, finding Saint over the wall. And this is LYON with Mago versus Envy. We talked about it right before, 48 hours before the upper bracket finals. They changed their mid laner, and they went on a tear with Envy. They won the CB LoL. It was not the expectation. And Envy coming up big in this team fight here right when they need him most.
And here's the thing, you kind of gambled it all as LYON on being able to fight that Soul fight. And now, playing against the Hextech Soul, the composition of LYON wants to group together to get the maximum benefit from the Seraphine. You're a Death Pool comp. Every time you group together, one bit of damage hits you, and the slow spreading across the team. As you see there, we talked about how that fight they won, the big mid-game fight, was around their movement speed, chasing down the target. How are you supposed to do that when every time you get hit, the AoE slow comes in? It's going to make it so much more difficult for LYON here.
Over the wall here, trying to find an angle, is now spotted. Berserker kiting back, and I agree. Move speed could make all the difference. LYON still has a lot of scaling power, though, and definitely not giving up just yet. As Shino stepping forward, going to take some damage. That Soul Furnace shield is massive. He's going to have to ult in retreat, though. Cancels it early. Youngjae is behind them, but LYON now feeling confident, looking to step forward. Berserker and Saint trying to chase down Youngjae. Going to be looking for him on the side as Shino steps forward, but now he has to flash out of there very quickly as he's taking a ton of damage. Dokka, though, popped the final hour and got sent packing by Envy. He had to run away in a hurry. And Shino going to be going back to base with the TP up and available. He could look for a potential flank.
And you can see in that situation, LYON trying to move forwards. They see the angle, held at bay by the slows. And it feels like they're just kind of pinstring them in. Youngjae, they're going to be in trouble.
Look for Youngjae. The slows do land, but the roots do not. And now Inspired's going to be slowed up with the rest of the team. Shino has arrived, and he has the ulti back already. The Encore coming through across multiple members. Berserker Flash is back. The stuns are there, and Lion are crumbling. Dokla running for the hills, but it's Young Jay hot in pursuit. He's got the World Ender. The Realm Orb's coming through. The sword will not connect, but Dokla's got nowhere to go. It's a double for Young Jay, as this man is taking over and ending Lion's world.
Absolutely huge. Not only do we see Young Jay popping off there, but Redbird with the massive ult catching Berserker out, and he's just able to do nothing. Inspired does end up killing the support, but does have his recall stalled, and Loud able to come through. Might just be able to end off the back of this. Doesn't look like they're going to commit to it, with some respawn timers set to come through. They'll just go to Baron instead. But still, team fight win after team fight win for this squad. And Loud in a great position from here on out.
They really are. I mean, they're just approaching these fights so well, you have to say. They don't have great hard engage, but they're coming from so many angles. And Lion, the nature of their comp is they want to be deathball, they want to be stacked up, but Saint and Berserker are getting caught by CC time and time again. They're not able to find a good position. The Ash Arrow does come through. It would be kind of embarrassing to lose it to that, as this might is quite powerful in this season, and they are going to secure the Baron, look for a reset, and now they have the Baron that is going to be synced up with the Elder.
I mean, Redbird was huge here with the ult flash over the wall, catches Berserker, but also Isles gets CC'd, so he can't McKells his AD carry out. Young Jay just pounces, gets both the AD carries here, one immediately and one he just have to chase down for a while, but Dokla just can't really do anything. The previous fight, Dokla got so much value, and it just immediately, this Aatrox pouncing on these backliners doesn't give them a chance.
And Envy did a great job as well. I mean, again, it's both Berserker and Saint stacked. Berserker gets hit by the hostile takeover. Saint flashes the way to the bottom, but he flashes into the Rise, who is there waiting for him. It's these multiple angles of attack. It is this great engage from Redbird. He has been a game changer in back-to-back fights. The handshake in that previous Soul fight, the flash ulti in this fight to actually get them Baron. And now they're going to have a minute overlap between the Elder spawning and the Baron still being active. But, you know, Elder really can change games, so they have to stay buttoned up. They need to be playing this out well to make sure that they don't let what should be their victory slip away.
Yeah, if I'm Loud, I just don't flip the Elder in this situation.
So quick update, there was a visual bug saying Saint reconnected. No one actually DC'd, so was not DC'd during that time. Just a visual bug.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, I was wondering about that when it popped up, but if I'm Loud, I don't even make it a flip with the Elder. I force Lion to approach in this situation, and then you have the slows to set up on them. You don't have the hard engage, we've talked about that, but you have the slows that make it very difficult for Lion to kite away. If you let it come down to a 50-50, I think that's a mistake with how strong they are in these fights currently.
I mean, look at Envy. He's full built. He's got the death cap. He is completely kitted out.
Oh, if he actualizes, it does a combo.
Yeah, you just melt. There's no safety from that. Envy is on the side here. He's very split from the team. If he gets spotted, it could be dangerous. And will get revealed by the Baron buff. He's got to be careful. The arrow comes out. He was not thinking about that Baron buff. Can they chase him down and knock him down? The actualizer gets popped. He stands, he fights, he kills them both. Envy takes the game into his hands. Lion can do nothing. You may get Envy, but you're going to lose the game. They are piling on Dokla. Face call will knock him out. The handshake is there. And it's a handshake to agree on a tied-up series. Loud are pushing through bot.
He just one-shot them, deleted both the AD carry and mid from Lion. Envy, you thought you'd caught him, turns it around, and Loud gonna take the game on the back of that play.
Lion underestimated him. They didn't spend all the CC, all the ultis until he had already one-shot someone, and now they make him pay. They tie it up. They were crushed in game one. They battle back in game two. Counter picks be damned. Loud are here to play. The CB LoL are tied up with the LCS.
Right. I like it.
All right, we got a new term. Not going to get to debut in this series, unfortunately, because there's no more Rise. He is going to be banned away.
Unfortunately, depending on whose perspective you have, you know, I think Lion may be a bit happy.
True. They definitely going to be happy that there is no more Rise after that one. Redbird, I thought, really had some clutch plays. You know, there's always, in anything that goes wrong, there's part misplay, part outplay. You know, Saint was maybe in some spots that he shouldn't have been, but the Soul fight, you know, the handshake over the wall from Redbird, game-changing. The final fight, you know, over by that Baron. Well, not final, it kind of felt like it ended the game a bit, but that fight over by the Baron, the flash hostile takeover was incredible as well.
I think if you're playing Renata in a Seraphine, and you're both playing passive, you lose so hard because just the general value for Seraphine with the Diadem and the Echoes of Helia, you get so much easy value. It's so much easier for the Seraphine to impact the game. You have to be proactive, and Redbird really was. So credit to him for that performance there.
Especially after the lane went so bad for them, right? To be able to actually find value in the later stages when most people would be looking at it and saying, okay, well, you've already been heavily outscaled at this point, right? You're not going to be as useful. It is going to be an Aurora first pick here for Loud. It is up and available. Lucian going to be the answer now for Berserker. Nami is gone. There's obviously the possibilities of Melio. We've seen some Lucian Sona. There's Lucian Braum, the old classic. Yeah,
so there's options available, but I feel like with the Nami gone, does limit that. That's like the sort of premier one.
The rise of support pairings for Lucian.
Yeah, and they are going to secure the Wukong. We did see a ton of jungle bans in the last draft, so it kind of thinned the pool a good amount. Inspired wanting to get a pick early, some solid engage, and also denies like the Wukong Aurora is a big threat, especially if you're playing a short-ranged AD carry like Lucian.
Yeah, and Azir really has fallen quite a bit in priority. I wasn't sure if it was going to or not, and we have seen it a bit throughout the event, but it is falling through picks and bans quite a lot, has been receiving consistent nerfs. Qiyana being considered here was banned in the second phase last game, if I do recall correctly, so Young Jay going to be able to get his hands on that. You're already looking at a tremendous amount of burst here in these first two picks between the Aurora as well as that Qiyana, and now it is going to be Cassante locked in, so now you have to choose, do you want to try to match some of these roles? Which lane do you want to counterpick? You can counterpick one of the solos, but then they have protection bans for the other.
Yeah, I think honestly you might just want to grab a support, because even though there are multiple pairings left with the Lucian, you would get them trimmed down pretty quickly if you left it open. And this also means that Loud, they can't ban mid and tops, they can only kind of pick one of those. So they end up going for the Braum in this situation. A strong pairing with the Lucian. Braum did get some slight nerfs, like his ult damage, ult cooldown, but still he's going to functionally be similar. And especially when you have this Lucian Wukong, and Braum, the passive stacking is really fast. It's a lot of skirmishing power. If you get into like a bot side river 3v3, really hard to play out against this trio. And we see the Rakan banned away, something often picked into the Braum, because with that mobility, so hard to stack up the passive before he dashes out again.
It makes a lot of sense there. So going to be focusing on that as Azir will get banned away now from Saint. And you are looking at what LYON has. It's a relatively safe mid laner. You know, obviously does fit that control mage bill, but can escape from a lot of sticky situations, both with the Emperor's Divide as well as the dash. And when you see what Loud have drafted, they want to go in, right? You know, they've already showcased what they're going to be playing. I also think picks like this that Loud is showing become that much stronger when Renata's already off the table, right? Because Renata is so good into what they are displaying right now.
Yeah, I wonder maybe like the Talia could also be a ban, just Talia into the likes of a Qiyana and Cassante can have a lot of value if we are just going to keep banning away mid laners in this situation. Going for the Annie instead, which we have seen rise in priority, got some buffs coming into this tournament. And Annie Wukong used to be such a strong combo when both those picks were firmly in the meta. So much value. I also think that by having a Braum, you have a little bit less go button, so it would have provided a lot of value in that regard.
Gwen, the consideration here for Dokla, obviously strong pick, considered to be quite good into tanks. Not that you're really expecting to just slam the Cassante, but you can scale well. And I do like Gwen into some of these hard dive comps, not only because you have the Hallowed Mist, but also because your counter engage can be quite strong. Instead, it is going to be LeBlanc here for the answer from Saint. Of course, the ethereal chains do go between, you know, when you go across the veil, you go invis, but if the chains are already connected, that can follow through, can reveal you, and can be a pretty effective matchup. You have a lot of mobility to be able to get out when they are going in. And are we just going to get Sivir? Okay, so Sivir Alistar as the answer here.
I think kind of just picking for team fights when you take these two, you know, mobility going to help a lot of those, that top side you have, given that movement speed over. And the Alistar, you know, into the Braum Lucian, it's not really fun going into that and getting stunned up. You can kind of just headbutt them away and play safe. I think LeBlanc makes a lot of sense, given that if you're playing something immobile, something that doesn't have a dash, into Qiyana, Aurora, you're going to have a rough time.
Oh, the Garen, I talked about it.
Yeah, you mentioned.
This is one of the things, and we never really saw him brought it out. You know, it was last year when he was actually coaching 100 Thieves, he had been spamming Garen, which he was using as a counter to Cassante, which had been incredibly popular. The reason, you know, this is really strong, there's a lot of armor pen on your E, but also when Cassante goes all out, guess what happens? Justice.
Yeah, you just slam the ult, the true damage. He's getting low himself at a choice, but also you look at the composition on the side of Loud. Alistar is also pretty vulnerable to that ultimate. And it's a short-range comp. If you get on top of a Sivir as well, you know, she's going to have a bad time into a Garen.
Yeah,
if Garen gets ahead, I honestly feel like this champion's a menace.
It is. It's absolutely a menace. Can be really problematic to deal with the Garen, but Garen's weaknesses remain the same regardless of the matchup, is that this champion is relatively low mobility. You can be kited. If Sivir pops the ult and then all of a sudden you flash in, you get headbutt away by the Alistar, you get knocked up next time you're getting there. It's very difficult to close that gap.
I think having flash really big when it comes to team fights and a good angle of approach. I'm looking at this mid jungle as well, this Aurora and this Kiana. If they get ahead, they can just be so oppressive, and you are playing a Lucian into this. This is a short range AD carry. You don't have shielding protection. You don't have healing from your support. I feel like you might just get blown up if you're trying to play too aggressive in these team fights. So really, can this mid jungle from the side of LoL get some momentum? We saw Youngjae have a phenomenal game in game 2. If he gets ahead on Kiana, he can take over the Rift.
Absolutely can. Youngjae looked really good on the Aatrox, and Envy strong in the late game. So we'll see if Loud can continue that momentum here, or if LYON can get something back, as Inspire going to show up here at mid lane, and this is just an aggressive trade. Wants to get a little bit of damage down, and will be able to do it. So Envy getting put behind a couple hundred health there in mid lane already.
Yeah, we see a trade of potions coming out as well, so Envy not opting to recall TP back in.
We can see Inspired wants to start enemy Raptors. Youngjae is on the red, won't actually have information about this. Now is going to spot each other. Will he be able to get it? Should be able to grab it with the smite. And the question is, can he get the little ones? Definitely want a lot of that experience. The reset is there. Now he gets level 2, and Youngjae now tried to steal away some of these, couldn't do it. Now loses his whole topside potentially off the back of this, because he's going to have to retreat.
Yeah. It looks like Inspired not opting.
Cross back, interesting.
Yeah, going to move back over towards his side of the jungle, pick up his blue in this situation. Maybe he's less focused around securing that side and he wants to move back over to cover his camps, but it looks like he's just moving to his blue side of the jungle.
Yeah, and it is going to be Youngjae crossing the entire map. Started his own red, didn't get that, ran to the enemy red, and is going to be on that. And remember, live now, the Act 2 Battle Pass bundle. Purchasing unlocks the Prestige Requiem Sona skin and Chroma. So grab that if you're interested now. It's also worth touching on, Dokla is playing Ignite. I was wondering if he was going to play Ghost, if he was going to play Ignite, you know, what he was going to do. I do feel like combat summoners are very powerful in counter matchups because of home guards allowing you to get out on the map so quickly, and also getting TP from your role quest later on. But at the end of the day, Youngjae going to be pretty happy about this. They had that ward over on the blue buff, so they knew what Inspired was doing. Yeah, and this is Youngjae kind of getting ahead.
I assume that Inspired's now going to path up towards Youngjae's side of the jungle and clear out those camps.
But he has no info. They have no ward on the bot side, right? So he doesn't even know. He's going to find out just now. They had no vision on him. He thinks, I think, that Youngjae was on his blue camps and was going to cross over afterwards. Now he's going to get the bad news that his camps are gone on that bot side, as Dokla does proxy one wave. He's going to go behind the tier 2. He's going to proxy the second wave as well. And then he's going to base and home guard out on the map.
It felt risky just to return to his own jungle, especially to his Gromp, which is so far away from everything with no ward coverage. I think he really had a window to twist a knife and choke Youngjae out of the game. And I feel like Youngjae kind of just went, okay, I'll just go to your red side. And he feels great because now he's clearing through his blue side of the jungle. There's still camps up for him. His Raptors is going to respawn soon.
Yeah, they're going to try to go forward here on to Redbird. Redbird is put low. Heals are traded. Bull going to get stunned up as well, but now comes Youngjae, and now Lion's bot lane is in trouble. They do have flashes. They might have to use them. Redbird going to be looking for the combo. Knocks him against the wall. The flash back there from Berserker. Lion and Isles. Lion, Isles, and Berserker both put low, but not dead.
Yeah, super close there. There was still the barrier for Berserk and the flash, so he was safe, but Isles getting very low. Oh, we'll just be able to get that recall off there. Not going to stay around, and there would be the threat of the dive if Youngjae wanted to move in. By going for this gank, though, he has kind of sacrificed his topside jungle, so Inspired, especially getting the respawned Raptors there, going to feel really good about that.
Absolutely is, and at the end of the day, he ends up being ahead, as you say, because he went for that gank and really got nothing from it. So that's a bit tough for Youngjae. Inspired, always a player that doesn't really like to take risks. He wants to go for the guaranteed plays, and I think sometimes that can be to his detriment, right? You know, when he's thinking, okay, I'm not going to risk going for the red buff, or not going to risk going for these types of plays, and Youngjae kind of called his bluff and just crossed the map and stole away some camps.
And if you look at how it panned out in the bot lane, Isles is down flash. That's the only deficit in terms of summoners, and it's a Braum. Like, how concerned are you about a Braum being down flash? Not that much. He still has his dash, still has his Unbreakable. Not the easiest champion to punish. and the lane matchup is pretty even. But when we look mid, Saint has a pretty big advantage. We did get that level 1 pressure to put Envy a little bit behind, but to be already 10+ CS ahead in the matchup, Saint having a great time in the city lane.
And Envy kind of had the depression buy for mid laners, which is just the brown boots when you go back to base and you can't really afford anything. So got the boots and did get a refillable, but going to be looking to base here one more time.
Youngjae hovering bot again. So really focused on trying to make something happen here. Isles is the target, you would assume, but it's, yeah, he just is ready to back away.
Yep, gets a little bit of first strike gold. His only camp is up on the top side, but he was doing this last game too, and even game 1, where he just will keep going back to the same lane, right? You know, a lot of times, you go for the gank, doesn't work, they just back off, they go back to farming. Youngjae did repeat ganks a number of times. It did not really work out for them, in game 1, even though they did eventually get a kill. As we can see, Shino trying to push Dokla away from that proxy, not going to let him have it.
I think the problem now is you're going to get to the point where Inspired will hit level 6 before Youngjae maybe even gets level 5. And that's a big problem, because you're just not going to be able to contest the Wukong if he has his ult available and you're a level 5 kind of... Okay, Youngjae with some camp pickups here, maybe going to hit his level 5 soon, but still going to be down at least a level.
Yeah, he needs to get a kill. I mean, this is the risk versus reward, as we are going to see Saint potentially in some trouble, but just kind of sidestepping back and forth pretty calmly. Takes both halves of the damage there. Does have to flash away as Youngjae came in. And now spam assist pings coming out. They want to potentially look for another attack onto Saint.
Yeah, getting the flash, relieving some pressure, definitely good, but hard to get a kill on a LeBlanc. Even if LeBlanc's playing aggressive, you distortion back and then still have the flash available to get out. And it just feels like Youngjae not quite getting what you want in the situation. Inspired gonna hit 6 off this scuttle, and that's the point where it gets very difficult to contest.
Yep, he is going to be basically that full level ahead. Not quite, but almost there. Dokla just farming even with Shino at this point, and wasn't really able to make anything of the Vayne last game. Did kind of have that one good team fight, in the mid game where they chased down in the mid lane, and then had another fight where he was able to get in the back line and kill off Bull, but definitely did not get the effectiveness that we wanted to see from him, from that LCS side, where Shino just was kind of a rock on that Scion. Got some help early, they were able to push Dokla off waves, and eventually the Scion was just worth way more.
Yeah.
Is Redbird going to come in and force the distortion back?
And there's danger of this happening in this game. We talked about last game having things like the Seraphine, the Mundo, the Cassiopeia, big scaling components to composition. I look at like a Lucian, LeBlanc, Garen. These picks can hold relevance in the later stages, but they kind of need to be accelerated. They need to be ahead. If your LeBlanc's behind, your Lucian's behind, your Garen's behind, they're never really going to hit the same. Yep,
I agree. And I think LYON will probably agree as well. So we'll see when they want to try to force Loud's hand, try to force them to fight. I do think their comp is a lot stronger on one item in general. When they are kind of all completing that one item, they are going to be quite strong. And Inspired has that early 6 and is here over on the Dragon looking for that. Is Saint going forward for another trade onto Envy, even with Youngjae around. Envy definitely taking the bad end of these trades.
Yeah, it's hard to get the damage back in return, and the fact that you don't even get the proc on the Sigil, and the Electrocute doing so much damage.
Garen trying to collapse here. Will be able to potentially defend the blue, but no, it is going to be claimed by Youngjae. Tried to collapse.
I'd be so scared of this Garen right now with Ignite and ult in pocket. Dokla's itching to hit those buttons together.
And Garen has so much burst. You really have to respect how much damage he can get done. Youngjae going to be able to grab one grub, and just happy with that, will back off. Still the CS advantages maintained in mid and jungle here for LYON. That really is where the edge lies thus far this game. And bot lane, very, very even. The Sivir is going to be really happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, you had that early gank, which didn't really amount to much. The flash is back up for Isles, so he's fine. But you're happy just farming out in this bot lane 2v2. The Sivir, Alistar value in team fights is going to be massive. And it's really about the skirmishes for the Lucian Braum more than anything.
Nicely played there by Envy. Just held the skills until Saint was kind of pinned against the wall. Had nowhere actually to dodge it. Tried to hit him with the chains, missed. And then tried to go for the Mimic chains as well, and that did not connect. So took the bad end of a trade, but is still up about 20 CS as Dokla has been trying to get into proxy positions. Shino has defended it well, and as a result, it's just basically been a farm fest on the top side.
No fun allowed, You're trying to play Garen, trying to get someone low, pop that ult, but just a farm fest for now.
And it's so important to be able to actually defend these proxy angles, because not only for the 1v1 is it annoying for Shino, but also when Garen gets in spot and is constantly clearing out these waves behind the turrets, the topside jungle becomes so dangerous then for your jungler. You know, when Youngjae is up there and Shino is locked at a tower answering his wave, if you face check a Garen in the jungle, that is terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, if the Garen gets the silence down, the Kiana's just dead. But even if you don't, if you go invisible and he's just spinning on top, it's the worst feeling.
I know you're here. Definitely tough, and so far very calm game, and we're almost 10 minutes in, no first blood just yet, but these are two teams that are very comfortable playing this sort of style, playing it slow and steady.
I'm used to this sort of thing. You know, there's a team in the LCK you may have heard of called Bro. They have this bro and brew style, very relaxed approach to the game. So, you know, I'm happy just to see where it goes. I think that this is not necessarily the composition you draft when you want to play it slow, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, obviously they still have a lot of time, you know, not even on one item at this point, but Inspire going to be coming in and pushing Youngjae back, who lands a nice double root there, but will retreat. Envy going forward is quite low. Just throws down the Between Worlds for a bit of a trade, but going to have to head back to base.
See, that's the trick. As soon as you start to address and talk about the lack of action, that inspires the players to take action.
Okay.
You know? You call them out about it.
Keep talking, buddy. Let's test this.
Yeah, so no kills so far after 10 minutes. Very slow pace. You know what? Day one, they were talking about combined kills per minute. The pace the teams were setting. I think Ja had some stat how if we kept up this pace for the rest of the tournament, it'd be the most bloody tournament.
Oh, so it's Jat's fault.
Yes, I actually blame him for this
Yeah,
specifically.
I do too. I'm down with that. Let's put it all on Jat. Should not have talked about how bloody it was going to be. Now look what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah, all on him. Well, we can just talk about it being slow and then it'll just revert back again. Just got to do a lot of work to sort of gear back up.
First items starting to come through here as Yuntal's completed there for Bolt. Luden's done now for Saint. And we are going to get the Stridebreaker soon for Dokla, but Shino already has his Iceborne Gauntlet. So the first item is going to be done pretty much for everyone shortly, you have to think. And I'm going to expect to see LYON trying to stack these dragons. It is both Infernal first as well as Hextech second. So those are two of the best souls to get. As Isle's going to use that Spellbook Exhaust and not really get anything for it, but maybe just want to cycle through.
Yeah, I think it feels bad when you see Infernal Dragon, Hextech Dragon, and you've got the early Dragon Prio.
Two of the best souls.
Yeah, bit unfortunate, but I think LYON's still in a position where they want to prioritize those, especially I think after last game when they obviously lost to a Hextech soul, lost to a soul in general, and with that confident lean to that, oh, Youngjae might be in trouble.
Yep, he is going to get rooted up, throws down the supreme display of talent, but the second chains is there. Inspired flashes forward. Youngjae has overstepped, and Saint is there to punish. First blood for the LYON jungler.
And it's just the power of the LeBlanc, you know, easy setup with those chains. Inspired flies in and gets the kill, and even Trader Sums as well, with both junglers using their flashes. So I think LYON in a pretty good position off that. Not really putting too much presence towards Dragon, but we'll see the replay on this. And Youngjae's playing this very aggressive, uses the dash as well as W to try and get some more of the camp, and just ends up...
Oh, Saint's going to get solo killed. We come back to live, and we see a single auto flying through the air, and Saint getting soloed by Envy after winning this lane, the 1v1 for so long.
Yeah, not sure how that happened. I don't think it really should happen. And did also... see Saint, not the first time in the series he's been solo killed actually, so unfortunately it seemed to become a little bit of a common thing for him right now.
Yeah, that is tough, and Isle's going to be coming in, pushing Youngjae off this dragon. I think LYON definitely would have wanted to fight for it, but now their setup is going to be delayed a little bit, and it was a trade of flashes, it looks like, in that mid lane solo kill, but Inspired heading out towards mid, and LYON still trying to potentially set up for this dragon.
Yeah, Bull should be able to just push this wave in and get some prio here, so you see LYON contesting it, but it's Inspired on the dragon, and Youngjae not really in position to move over yet.
Yeah, trying to threaten a potential move through mid lane was Youngjae, but he was warded out, and
I think
LYON bot lane just backed off.
You don't have the Supreme Display of Talent, you don't have the Between Worlds, those big ults being down in the mid jungle. We are going to be able to see what happened. Saint half HP goes in, and Envy just hits everything, and also flashes first. You know, if Saint had flashed first himself, would have been able to survive. Flashing second there gets caught out. It is Dragon secured for LYON, and it's Ocean Soul, which pretty underwhelming in terms of what it offers for Lion's composition. So
yeah,
Loud feeling pretty good about this.
I feel like it's arguably the worst soul they could have gotten actually against this comp when you're thinking about Kiana, Aurora, all this upfront burst against a lot of the squishy targets that are on Lion. A lot of these champions you would think aren't going to live long enough to actually get a ton of value out of it. You know, maybe Garen and Wukong and Braum can get some value there. And any soul obviously is very valuable, but definitely not the one I think that Lion would have wanted to roll.
It's not a game winner. There's some souls you get it, especially with the right comp. Shino might have found him. Yep,
Shino going to go all out here. Saint trying to distort back, trying to get a little bit tricky, but he distorted and then Mimic distorted into the wall. Really mishandled that play, and he gets solo killed by Shino on the Cassante. That is not what you want to see from Saint.
Maybe Envy was talking up his solo kill, and Shino was like, well, it's not that hard. I can do it too. Yeah, Saint struggling on the block. A pick where I feel like you really shouldn't be getting solo killed. You have so much ability to opt out of fights.
Dokla looking for a solo. He gets one of his own up on the top side, takes down Envy with the flash, the ult, the ignite. Finally getting something back here for Lion, who still maintains that advantage, but does feel like they are a lot more early game focused in their composition. And Saint, you know, was doing very well in the 1v1, but you make that one mistake and he's kind of known as an emotional player. Sometimes that can snowball. And Loud are now looking to punish Dokla. They've TP'd in. Redbird is here. Dokla gets the bad news. The ignite comes down. The Pathmaker connects, and Dokla has no way out of this one. Will take him a while, but Shino can just auto him down.
Yeah, and the shutdown as well. So pretty big there. Shino getting a lot of gold off that play. And Dokla has to commit a lot to get that kill onto Envy. Not as easily done as that solo kill we got on the bot side, but this was just run in. So much counterplay on display there, you know.
Shouldn't have been in top lane. That's the counterplay.
Yeah, you should have
stayed home today, buddy.
I think so, but Shino's like, okay, no cooldowns on this Garen. This is a pretty easy pickup. Even has the backup of Redbird there to get the kill. So super positive play for Loud overall. And I feel like with the soul that we got, with it being Ocean Soul, with the composition Loud has, and how the game's been going,
we got to go back to live. Bull looking to go in here onto Berserker, who was CC'd up there by Redbird. Isles gonna have to jump back as Young Jay comes in, looking for some more damage. Lion bot lane will survive, but yeah, Shino getting fed, I think, is one of the most problematic members actually for Lion. They don't have the best tank killing. And if this guy can kind of just run straight at your LeBlanc, run straight at your Lucian, and kind of ignore everything, he's going to create so much space for the carries of Loud.
I think it's such a nightmare pick to play Lucian into, because you're not the best tank shredder, and also you're always going to be kind of in his danger range, right? If you're playing up to him, he has the potential to ult you.
Yeah, you can see in the Coinbase gold grind there, Shino ahead despite the solo kill for Dokla. Shino got back-to-back kills, and now they're going to look. There's the flash forward, the Pathmaker, but the Q3 does miss. He goes all out, and he's looking to knock down Dokla. Supreme display of talent, stunned into the wall, knocked down as Young Jay is on the board.
Good setup there from the top jungle duo from Loud. A kill for Young Jay. He's been hunting for one for a while, finally gets one on the board. And it's only a slight gold lead for Loud. They're feeling good about their position in this game. Shino should be able to get this tower as well and boost that even further. And you can hear the crowd support for their home team right now.
Yeah, they should be really excited here. Saint going back in with the distortion, taking a ton of damage. He might get solo killed again by Envy. Saint has got to be careful here. Cannot allow these mistakes to compound, as has been a bit of a rough couple minutes there for Lion. Shino is just getting ridiculously fed now. He's 1.5k up, got that first tower gold, got back-to-back kills across the map. He's on 2 items plus the upgraded boots, already working towards the 3rd. This guy is just going to be a brick wall.
He's got plated steel caps and double armor first item, and the only AP on the other team is LeBlanc, who's not really a tank shredder. So you're in such a good spot in this game as this Cassante, just to be a constant threat. This is a hard one. This is a hard position to be in for Lion right now. Dragon up in 15 seconds. It's not a complete bailout if they get this soul, but Lion definitely should be looking to sort of contest this. It's something that will help them, give them some strength. They are moving in that area, trying to get some mid-prio here.
Yep, Inspired moving here with Isles. Going to get a nice little chunk down onto Redbird. Loses about 40% of his HP as Young Jay is warded out on the side. You can see Shino moving up now, trying to reclaim space. Will be spotted by the ward, and Saint is following, but it does feel like this standoff is favoring Loud. As Dokla comes out from base, he just finished the PD, won't have flash, but will have Ignite and ult for this fight.
See some good poke coming out already onto the bot lane of LYON here. We have Envy just waiting, has TP ready and available to join if needed. More poke coming through.
Miles down to almost half HP at this point. As Inspire going to step forward. That's a flash out from Youngjae. He was very scared of that engage. Maybe a little preemptive, but was worried about getting CC'd up and knocked down. And Inspired now has Flash, he has Cyclone, and maybe there's an angle. The TP going to be coming in here from Envy as they're looking for Isles. Isles going to turn around with the ulti. Bull is put low. Redbird is standing, he is fighting, and he is deleted. Justice is delivered by Dokla as Shino is on the side and Envy is retreating. He was overconfident. Now the Battle Herald comes through from Inspired, going to be able to knock that one down. The supreme display of talent only landing on the clone of Wukong. LYON, I think they've earned themselves the dragon. It's
just so crazy how different Alistar plays when there's a Garen in the game, because you have that already, like, okay, I can soak damage, dead. Just immediately. That ultimate's so good against him.
And it's one of these habits that you have to be able to break where you can't ult late. You can't ult at half health. You got to ult at full because the true damage isn't going to one-shot you from 100% HP, but Dokla might be getting taken down here as he's going to have to flash away from Shino. Shino has no flash. Dokla's running. Lucian was moving down, but Berserker is kind of hesitating. I guess Dokla feels that he is out. So Berserker will go back towards mid lane as Dokla, I mean, with no ult, you stand no chance in that 1v1.
Also feels bad because we talked about the importance of Flash on Garen if you want to have impact in these team fights. So that being down pretty sore. You also have this counter matchup where Shino is just super far ahead. No longer feels like a counter matchup.
You know, it's really interesting because we've obviously been talking about this as Garen has to get backline and kill backline. I wonder if LYON are looking at it like, no, we actually just kill frontline because you can delete Redbird, or potentially if Shino goes all out, you just use the Garen ult on the front line. And just, we've maybe been thinking about it the wrong way as he needs to get on the Sivir and he's saying, no, I just kill whoever comes to me. So going to be interested to see if that's how they actually end up playing out these fights.
Yeah, could be the approach, right? That just on-demand, huge burst of damage available.
Kind of like Cho'Gath almost, you know, where it's just you're playing with like minus 1,000 health because of true damage, right? So sometimes you can just go on frontline and kill them that way.
It's kind of like so many people have said how insane Garen's ult would be if it wasn't on Garen. It is.
Imagine if Cassante had that.
No, I don't want to picture that world.
Yeah, I mean, he would be losing all out, which is pretty powerful, but yeah, Dokla, he's just lying in wait here. Going to be looking to just clear up this wave. In comes Inspired. Going to see if Shino wanted to commit to anything, but Youngjae is on his way down as well. Dokla has the ulti now, but he is getting beat down right now. He's going to go all out, but in comes the Ignite. In comes the ultimate. Justice delivered once more. The TP is there from Redbird, but just to pay his respects to Shino, who's already fallen.
It's so ridiculous how much damage it does.
They're killing frontline. I'm changing my whole POV on this. As Saint going to be going up here against Envy. Saint going to have to try to get away. Will distort back to safety. As stopped the deaths for now, but definitely not feeling comfortable in this game is Saint. As Youngjae going to have to use that ult just for a knockback. He gets stunned up. The culling comes through. Bull is incredibly low. Are they going to go for more? The ulti even popped out there by Redbird. As Berserker is flexing his muscles, Saint flashes forward. He's looking for Envy. Can Envy get out here? He has the flash. Will have to use it. It's a trade of flashes at the end of the day, but I do think that favors the LeBlanc.
Yeah, and just across the board, it feels like LYON getting so much of an advantage. When it felt like Loud was really gaining control, suddenly bot, mid, and top, we just see everyone kind of clawing back some control. And with 2 minutes until that soul, this is a big advantage to be able to pick up.
It's looking good for them, and we'll see if they can capitalize in this next fight. The flash will be back for Garen, as of course that Ignite should be up as well. You know, it's going to be a little bit close, I guess, on the flash, but right around that dragon spawn.
Used it when it was 420 till the next dragon, and he doesn't have any reduction on the cooldown.
You just wanted to say 420, buddy.
No. I resent that accusation.
I can see the smile in your face.
Well, now I'm smiling.
I know what you are.
I think he'll be a little late, but they stole out the dragon. Then maybe he'll have it.
Yeah, we'll see. Youngjae going to get spotted now. Saint is there, as is Inspired. And Youngjae's in a world of trouble here. Has the flash, but no chance to use it. He's knocked down by Inspired. Inspired looking like he is in his comfort zone. Are they going to go for the Baron? This would be risky. I don't think that they will.
They could potentially bait for it and try and turn, but the vision setup they have isn't insane, and Inspired's already in base, so I guess the answer is no.
Yep, just goes for the recall, and Dokla stays down towards bot. Going to continue pushing that forward. Saint just kind of poking around here as now he has Isles in his back pocket. Looking for Envy. The chain's actually going to connect through everything. Nice distortion back, dodging the damage. The Braum passive is there. He goes across the veil. They can't finish him off, but good snipe with the chains there from Saint, putting on a lot of pressure. Yeah,
really putting on pressure here, and it's 40 seconds until Dragon. And now we see Inspired already there on this side of the map. Chino die again here.
There's the face check. In comes Inspired, and Chino going to be in trouble. Uses the Pathmaker. The stun is dodged out on. Won't be able to get a kill, but will push him back a little bit.
A big thing is that you have the Black Cleaver now for the Garen. You also have the Armor Shred from the Wukong on the Q, so the Xante does get his resistances shredded a good amount there. Also, Envy hasn't reset yet.
That's so late to be basing now. Saint going to be TPing out to the rest of the team. Berserker, of course, working towards his LDR. Doesn't have it, but Black Cleaver has the Last Whisper. Their tank killing is getting a lot better. The spell pen is there, of course, for Saint. Has been for a while. Redbird going to be checking, and he's going to wish he didn't. Has to pop the ult, has to flash out. Dokla wasn't even there to use his ult as Chino TPs into the middle of the team. Youngjay's getting hit on the side by Inspired. Berserker has to dash back. Envy looking for it. Will Chino go for it? He's stepping forward very confidently. Nice buffer on the Braum stun. Berserker again has to dash back. That is on the hunt, spent though by Loud, and they can't really get a purchase in the river.
Struggling to push in, and there's a threat as well. Alistair's so low with Dokla. Oh!
Dokla flashes, silence, ults! Youngjay flashes out, uses some display of talent there, trying to stay alive. Does survive the ignite. Chino's gonna go all out, but he's got a flash to safety as well. Dokla jumps out of the brush. It's a jump scare for Lion. It's Inspired going forward. It's the Cyclone knocking him up. Look at Pull on the side. He's gonna flash back. Does survive for now, but Redbird does not. Lion crushed the fight. They are playing these team fights out beautifully.
The approach is so slow, and then Dokla just pounces, sees this window onto the Kiana, catches off guard, uses the flash, and that's the big thing. The flash wasn't synced with Dragon, so they were patient. They waited for it to be back up and available, and as soon as Dokla has it, jumps on the jungler, doesn't leave any window for the Kiana to use stealth or anything like that. And just that burst of damage makes it so hard to play. Get the moment of the game there with the Dragon Soul secured for Lion.
MasterCard, priceless moment of the game. Have that soul. The question is, will it be enough to seal this game? We can watch this one more time. Dokla was spotted walking in the brush, but they didn't expect the damage.
It was also, the green stealth available for Youngjay, but just didn't get a chance to use it before the flash silence comes in. And from there, you're on the back foot, fighting your way out of it. It's just an opportunity for Lion to push forward here. Redbird's already low with no ultimate. Chino is kiting out, which isn't ideal when you're playing the Xante. Just great setup there from Lion.
Yep, and Bull lost his flash to that culling there from Berserker. Berserker held on to his flash, so he'll have it for that next fight. For potential Elder. Chino does have Dokla behind him, but he wants to go back to base. I gotta say, this game is kind of changing my perspective on Garen and how you have to play out the fights. We were really thinking about it from that perspective of, yeah, you have to access backline, that could be tough. But they're just killing frontline. They're just saying, it's not actually true against this specific comp. And they have been right thus far. Isles just gonna let the ulti rip to try to clear out this wave. Loud was grouped up, looking to push in. And we'll see if Lion can start to win out in the side lanes a little bit more now with this Ocean Soul.
And it's not the highest value Ocean Soul game, but it does give you that mana regen, and Dokla has had no mana all game, so there's the value.
He'll never run out of mana again. That's a guarantee here from Ox.
A guarantee?
Wow. Saint, okay, buddy. First, you're hitting me with the 420, now the Garen puns. I'm supposed to be the dad in this cast.
Yeah.
You're just stealing it away from me.
Okay, I'll leave it to you next time.
Thank you, exactly. Well, we'll see what Lion can get done. Berserker, of course, does have the LDR now. And I do think Ocean Soul, while it's not always great against these burst champs in a team fight, in side lane, Ocean Soul is king. It's so impossible to contest people in that side lane unless you have incredible consistent damage. For Envy versus Saint, if Saint is just constantly trading with you, you're just healing to full over and over and over. And Inspired now is going to find Envy. He's going to go between worlds. Still has across the veil. Will hop backwards. Saint looks for him. Can't find him as he rocket belts away from the ethereal chains.
Yeah, I see the problem is Envy has 17 dashes. They only factored in 16. So, still had the flash in pocket as well.
Big mistake.
Yeah. Hard to pin down. It is still resources bin, right? The ultimate being down is a big tool not available. Dokla's hunting.
Dokla is hunting, and will back off. He doesn't want to fully commit to that, but they are covering Saint, who is going to be able to get a plate on that top side and trying to deny as much vision as possible. Isles here spots all of Loud coming in, throws up the door, but he doesn't really have any backup right now. Now lets the ulti rip here, and it's the supreme display of talents just used on Saint, but Berserker is peppering them with bullets from the side, getting a bunch of damage down onto Redbird, who just always has to pop the ult so early that then he can never look for a re-engage. He's basically a one-combo champ in this game.
You can see he has adjusted to, like you said, which is, it makes sense, but it puts it in such an uncomfortable position. And now they're starting the Baron, and with the Ocean Soul, they have a lot of sustain. Oh, big ult.
Garen is on the side. Saint goes forward, distorts in, gets a big chunk down. And they're still working on this. Dokla is going to reveal himself. YoungJay has been spotted. They want to keep YoungJay out of the pit. We'll see if they can do it. Redbird has no ulti. YoungJay's getting in range, but he's going to be too late. Saint goes back in. The first kill of the fight is onto Redbird. And in goes Inspired. It's a multi-man Cyclone. And Inspired is running this game, killing off the entire backline. Shino's trying to run for the hills, has the Pathmaker, gets stunned up. Blast Cone back into the waiting arms of Berserker. It's 2 to the head just to make sure. It's an ace for LYON, it's a Baron for LYON, and it might just be match point.
Clean there from LYON. The approach so slow, so controlled, didn't give Loud a window in. In the last second, they rushed to try and get to the Baron, and we see LYON pounce, Inspired on the backline, decimating them, and now pushing them into their last chance to save the series.
Really impressive performance here from LYON. Redbird respawns, but he can do nothing but watch as his Nexus is razed to the ground. LYON go up 2-1. They're on match point.
And I assume they'll keep running that trend. So
yeah,
excited to see what he brings out in this one. And I feel like this has kind of been a newer look for Dokla compared to last year, like more counter picks, more focused on bringing out these picks where he has this real big lane advantage.
It absolutely is. And I mean, I think a lot of it, you can't talk enough about Inspired on this team because he really is the voice that kind of runs the team. And you know, at the end of the day, they are going to do whatever Inspired thinks, right? They are going to be playing it out exactly how he wants and how he views the game right now. Is that it's not about bot lane. As much as a lot of people talk about how they think bot lane is the most important right now and they need to be playing through these scaling carries, he believes that you should not be spending your time there early game from what I have observed and what I have heard from him. And so that gives Dokla the license to get counterpick, right? They're not going to be counterpicking for support. They're not going to be counterpicking for mid. Mostly they're going to be counterpicking for him. It's not that he never blinds, but his team has faith in him. And I think that is really cool to see Dokla kind of get unlocked in this way. This time around, though, he is going to be blind. And there are some of these kind of standard answers up and available, like Galio, like Ornn.
Yeah, I guess we might just see Shino going towards those, but it's one of those neutralizing picks that we tend to see, those sort of setups that you have into the Rumble. It's a matchup where you look to outscale later in the game, but not necessarily having that big advantage. I think a big part of it is having Nocturne plus Rumble is so devastating. I think picks like Jhin and Rumble sync so well with the Nocturne. So part of, I think, LYON denying those tools from being able to pair up. You know, the Orianna has been banned all series, so that was never going to be able to be paired with it.
Fortunately, the problem with denying Jhin from your opponents is that Jhin is then on your team.
Ah, yes.
And that is one of the major downsides.
There is one thing with Jhin, right? You can choose to build damage on Jhin, because we did see...
No, sorry, buddy. Best I can do is Ghostblade rush into a rapid fire.
Oh, man. You're into Ornn as well, so please, LDR needs to come out.
Yeah, maybe sixth.
No,
you know?
No, that's not what it is. No, please. You know, Diablo is a phenomenal AD carry, but his build yesterday did not inspire much faith.
Double slingshot action.
Oh, yeah, no, please.
When one slingshot is not enough, you must get a second. And it is going to be actually the Galio for LYON, as Ornn was taken as the answer. A lot of top laners do really like this matchup into Rumble. Ornn, of course, has so much wave clear, scales really, really well. And once you're on Kanik, you're kind of just chilling. Once you're on that one item, you are kind of just chilling in the matchup. I do like Galio as an answer to Akali as well as the Nocturne, but instead it's going to be Jace, which is very interesting. I felt like Galio made so much sense because it's such a good answer to the Shroud and also great for counter engage. You know, you throw down the ulti as soon as Nocturne comes in and whatnot, but the problem is obviously you can't ult during Paranoia because you can't target your teammates if you're not there. But I still felt like it had a lot of value. I'm less familiar with the Jace Akali matchup, so I can't profess to be an expert on this.
Yeah, I mean, it could, in theory, still be a Jace jungle. It has been nerfed quite a lot.
It's true. That's true.
Could be flex there, but it feels like a vulnerable pick. They obviously did buff his. You know, he does have a decent amount of resistances in his melee form. Does a good amount of damage. We'll see where they end up putting it though.
Yeah, but it is scary, right? Because you're now drafting a relatively squishy team, and you're against Nocturne, Akali, Warren. So
yeah,
you know, whether it's Jace jungle or Jace mid, when they press R, what's your recourse, right? You know, Nocturne is flying in and he's unstoppable, and the Call of the Forge God is flying in as well, and that is terrifying. Of course, you know, the potential counter engage from Rumble is pretty good.
I think the Kai'Sa ban is a great one, because that would really just add to the pain if you put it on top of this rest of the rest of the composition Loud has already. Loud think it could still be that Jace jungle. They ban away the Galio that was being hovered. I think Rakan as well, syncing up with that dive would be such a major threat. So it feels like both compositions kind of having that theme already, right? The long range of the Jhin, Jace, and Loud trying to close the distance. The bans are just trying to thin what is available to accentuate what's already picked up.
Yep, so Rakan going to be banned away, Kai'Sa going to be banned away. A lot of these really strong dive champs that can help to set them up. It's going to be interesting if there's going to be, you know, Nautilus or Rel ban, but instead it's going to be Karma. So I do think LYON needs some sort of hard engage, and generally I feel like Rumble without, you know, point and click lockdown without that engage is a lot weaker. It's very hard to get good equalizers.
Yeah. If you go the Maokai, you know, it's a flex, but Maokai, if you have it in the jungle with Jace mid, it's like the AP jungle with the AD mid, the traps you can set with the saplings, but also the setup for Shock Blast, for Jhin, for Equalizer, super powerful.
And good AoE CC, so, you know, it can reveal the Akali in the Shroud very easily with your Q, with your ult hitting them, you know, with sapling damage. It is going to be an MF, so it does feel like you're looking then towards, you know, a Rel, Leona, Nautilus, something like this. It is going to be the Leona as the answer. So it's really kind of just all dive, MF ult over the top. You're trying to find that. And the question here is, what support can really help to shut that down? If
it's a jungle Maokai, I wonder like a Poppy support could honestly be pretty good. You know, decent dash interruption, decent into the Leona, and then the ult could get insane value if you manage to ultimate the right target. But they could still flex the Maokai. But they are going to go for that Poppy. So I think the value, just the dash interruption, and the fact you stop the Zenith Blade from the Leona can mitigate it early on. And then if you ult a target out from that late engage, so much power.
I always really like Poppy when you have other CC on your team too. Poppy support is something that I like to play. And when you're paired with a Maokai, the Nature's Wrath comes out, hits Akali in the Shroud, you can just get a free ult on this person who's rooted and revealed, even if they are invis, you know? So there is potentially a lot of power there. You know, you can also stop a redirection of Call of the Forge God with a well-timed W. There's Akali dashes, there's the Zenith Blade. There's a lot of tools there to be able to interrupt and shut things down. So some pretty interesting compositions coming out here across the board. I do think mid lane's going to be very important. Akali from behind, pretty pitiful. Akali from ahead can be incredibly oppressive. And Jace mid, not a lot of players are playing this these days. There's basically no AD mids in the meta. Yone is the only AD mid in the top, I want to say 23, 25 picks in pro play in mid these days. So Jace, we're just not really seeing him or any other ADs.
Yeah, it should be a top lane though for Akali, being that you are playing into something that not only has that range but can kind of just bully you out with a short combo. But if you get to 6, you get that huge power spike of the ultimate, which Jace can't really match. And if you're playing into Akali Nocturne and they hit you with the ultimates, it's going to be a bad time.
It absolutely is. And that's where it becomes the job of Inspired and the rest of the team to scout out the Nocturne before he ults, right? When you're playing against Nocturne, deep vision is so important. If you spot on one side, you got to get wards on camps on the other side of the map. You need to know he's there before he presses Paranoia, or it's already too late. And Saint here does have that Shock Blast level, both mid and jungle.
You know, it's interesting, we have the comment from Dokla. Keen has been going a lot of first strike, cashback on Rumble, and he just print money against tanks with that strategy. And the grass coming out from Saint as well. You know, I'd expect maybe, like we see a lot of first strike when we had Jace back in the mid lane, but wanting to go for the graph, so you have that little bit of extra trading power and bulkiness with some of the health and the resolve tree that you can stack up.
Yep. And it is always nice, you can go for that little trick where you go for the auto in range form, you swap to melee form, and you get the bonus HP as though you are a melee. So people love that little interaction. LYON, you know, positioning very aggressively forward here in that bot side, trying to get the push, and Saint needs to try to push the pace as much as he can in this type of matchup. You really, as the ranged champion into Akali, you want to bully this guy. You want him in the dirt if you can get him there before he gets 6, because as you said, the spike for Akali is huge, and the spike for Jace is basically non-existent at 6.
Yeah, 6 is big, 9 is big when you get 5 points in your Q and the cooldown.
All right, first you're going with the 420, now you're going with the 69, buddy.
Wow.
You're out of control.
At least I haven't done 6-7 yet, so...
Well, now you just did that too.
Well, yeah.
Just going with all the numbers memes.
We'll get them all out of the way, right?
Yeah, we'll get them all out of the way. They're gone now. But Loud, this was their playoff run here. Again, you know, going into that upper bracket finals into the round 4 was when they made their swap to Envy from Mago. Had a lot of success. And this is a team that they are down, but they're never out because they are known in Brazil as the comeback kings. This is a team that has been able to, you know, come back in games. They play this slow style, come back in series. They're known as very calm, very collected. And that is what they're going to have to do here. They're going to have to stay locked in, because the pressure really does ramp up. You're playing at home, you have the advantage of that home crowd, but you also have the pressure and the expectations of them performing in front of them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with how the Americas Cup went, there's that added, you know, the other teams had such a strong performance against the LCS representatives. You want to live up to that. You want to live up to that and see if you can replicate it. Right now, kind of the matchup going how you'd expect in the mid lane. Envy does have TP available when he wants to use it. It is just weather the storm and kind of make use of Doran Shield, Second Wind, and just soak up damage and try and get farm. But it's just never really a fun time.
No, it's looking pretty rough for him. And you know, while you do expect to get down, it is looking maybe a little bit worse than I would have personally expected. Shino doing well in that 1v1 up on the top side for now. But you always have to be careful about the mana. And Envy does have to be very careful. Saint went to the skies there looking for him because, of course, that damage connects. It is AoE, even if you're in the Shroud. And we'll be able to get this pushed in. The execute there from the support item from Isles is just going to make that much faster. So he will lose at least the 1 melee, but, of course, it is a cannon wave, and he's going to get back in time for that. Yeah,
we'll be able to pick up that plate as well. Was shared with Isles there, but getting that quick push in, and already got a bit of an advantage in the mid lane. Do see that Inspired was hovering around the top lane, but didn't really find a window for anything. I think don't expect him to be too active early, just from how he generally plays, but setting a quick pace of the game. And once you have that ult available, so often I feel like with Maokai jungle, even though we don't tend to see him lean towards bot, bot is such an easy lane to gank, just with how the ult covers so much of the lane. And, you know, there's no cleanse on Bull. I'm not saying I typically expect it, but without a cleanse available into a Maokai, it's so punishing. You get caught by that ultimate, it's kind of doomed.
Definitely can be tough. You can see the steadfast presence there, interrupting the Zenith Blade from Redbird as he tried to go forward. Red Bull looks for the double tap, can't quite find it, but Saint now potentially going to get attacked here by Young Jay. Will push him back, but he has the acceleration gate and nails the shock blast, and then just sidesteps the Q there from Young Jay. So kind of dancing on him right now, feeling confident that they don't have the damage or the CC to knock him down. Inspired also is going AP. I'm not sure what your feeling is on that, but Berserker going to be forced to cleanse here on the bot side.
I think I'm okay with... We've seen a lot of, like, it's Liandry's and then the... what's the second line this shred item called?
Bloodletter's Curse.
Bloodletter's Curse. I'm not sure how I feel about the Bloodletters. I think Liandry's...
Oh, Saint flashed forward there. The kick flip backwards, though, to safety for Envy, or at least relative safety. He has to get out of there because Empowered Shock Blast might be enough. Forces the flash. Envy trying to greed for this. Will be able to get back and take that cannon, but Saint definitely putting the pressure on, but unfortunately for him, hasn't been able to cash in on a solo kill, so it is just the CS advantage. This is not a cannon wave, though, that Envy's basing on, so if he completes the base, he's going to lose at least a couple of minions, and the base will get canceled.
Yeah, he's still so low in this situation. Youngjae, about a hit level. Actually, he's doing the dragon, so that might take him a bit longer. But Envy now has level 6, but just too low to really make anything from it.
Going to be starting this up. This is pretty risky from Youngjae. Bold to start that dragon when your mid has no TP and no pressure. But Isles is low, so they do have the HP advantage on the bot side. Inspired comes in, though, and that will be enough to push him back. Yeah,
I don't think you can go for that with the condition of your mid lane. So wise to back away in that situation, and Envy will go for the reset. I think regarding the first time, Leandri's, I think is completely fine. I feel like transitioning to tank after that could make more sense to me, because we've kind of just been seeing like the full AP builds. But you know, maybe like a Leandri's, Vandal Pipes, and then the Protoplasm Harness. Like, you get that first AP item, then a bit tankier after that. I think, in my mind, for like a pro jungle, economy makes a lot of sense. But we've just been seeing like the full AP saplings on nuclear bombs sort of build.
Yeah, I mean, the saplings are obviously very annoying to deal with, but at a certain point, the damage can kind of be shrugged off, right? It stops being threatening later on into the game. In my view, you just can't keep up the income to actually have enough AP to like truly threaten people.
It is great for stat padding, though. I'll tell you that.
That's true. The most useless damage.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of it, and Envy now does have a slight experience advantage as Isle's going to find Bull. The Deadly Flourish will connect, but no real follow-up there to be had.
I feel like this, you know, it's also, there's been so many games like a top laner's playing into Rek'Sai, and you get to the end and it's like, oh, you've done 36,000 damage. Just such like kind of fake stat padding damage that just doesn't really mean much. But big number, I guess. That's nice to see.
The big numbers do always feel nice, and pretty much always you'll see the pro players checking the damage at the end, and always like, I did more than you. It's funny hearing some of the comms sometimes when games are ending. They're like, need to get the DPM up, need to get the DPM up. They don't want to end the game.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah. When you're on a real struggle game, you need to look a little bit better. You know, you need to get some damage in at the end.
Pump the numbers. And then you get the people who just like don't care, you know, flawless game, perfect KDA, dive the fountain at the end and ruin it.
I kind of respect it, man.
Yeah.
It's that they don't care at all. We got some lethality coming in through mid lane and bot. Of course, Chino is laning against Rumble, so he has to pay respect to that. You know, we talked about the Kanik rush, almost always what you're going to see. Does mean that, you know, he's going to have less armor, or at least less armor early on, but you do still need some armor pen. As the bullet time coming through, Berserker forced to flash. Isles going to eject Redbird back, but that is a nice engage. Redbird didn't even use his ult, and they get so many sums. 3 down there from the LYON bot lane.
Yeah, so much pressure easily allows YongJ to pick up this dragon here. And triple sums burnt there from the bot lane, and them getting chunked out. Not a great feeling. Chino not having a great time in this lane so far. Not at a Kanik spike yet, but one thing with the fact that, again, it's a rarity to have an AD mid laner, but you can send Saint into Chino after he has that Kanik Rukin completed.
Ooh. He's going to drop the equalizer here, try to keep him around, but not really going to be an angle for a dive as he gets the level up.
Yeah, not really able to take him down. But yeah, if you send the Jace into the Rumble, that MR is kind of wasted. So potentially the avenue to do that once laner phase is kind of broken open.
Yep, YongJ going to be going in. Paranoia is popped. Call of Forge God is going to whiff here, but the fear does land. Nature's Grasp coming through, will be spell shielded by YongJ. Didn't waste that early, so they get the flash off of Dokla, as well as the ulti trade from Inspired, but they do not get the kill. Yeah,
so Inspired finishes off his grubs, comes over, saves his top laner. Still flash burn from Dokla, still a resource, big resource expended, but the fact he doesn't go down to that first Nocturne ult definitely feels pretty good.
Yep, it is going to be feeling really good. So Saint has built up a 600 gold lead for himself here in the mid lane, which is pretty solid for sure. But Envy, you know, is scaling and is going to have that potential all-in threat. And it's nice steadfast presence into the Deadly Flourish there from Isles and Berserker. But they're definitely on the back foot, it feels like, in this 2v2. And for the most part, they've been a real point of strength for LYON. So them kind of getting pushed in, them being on the back foot, is a bit of a first, it feels like, in this series. I mean, you know, you're talking about how Inspired kind of views bot as you just leave it to play safe, leave it isolated. If they start to stumble and fall, then you know that plan might go out of the window. With those summoners being down as well, you can see Isles very easy for him to disrupt the Leona engage. That steadfast presence is such a long cooldown. If we see Redbird get on top of Berserker, no plans available, you layer the CC, and it's probably just a dead Jhin. Yep, I think one CC hits with bullet time up, and you are dead with no cleanse, because that CC chain just does not end with the Zenith Blade and the Solar Flare available. You can see Inspired moving his way down towards bot side. He is clearing out those Krugs right now, but kind of pulling them down towards bot lane to see if there is a potential angle. And he has finished his Liandry's. We're expecting Dokla, obviously, to move that way as well. And first item done for YongJ as well. It's crazy. You remember it was a thing that if you had 2 Liandry's in a team, they couldn't both be in a target? They couldn't stack, yep. Yeah, how crazy is it that that just was a thing one time and you just couldn't have 2 people with it? Exactly. I mean, if someone else picked a Liandry champ after you already had, you're like, brother, you just griefed us. Like, our comp is terrible. We can't build the item now. Redbird going to be spotted out here by Isles as they're going to look for an engage. Nice knockback there from Inspired. Will keep himself safe, and Redbird might not be so lucky. Going to get stunned into the wall. Up comes the Nature's Grass. He flashes back, but already is knocked down, and now Shino might have to use his flash as well. He's going to have to dash back, flash back. Dokla has the equalizer there, lining up for it. Inspired's going to knock him back. Will he let the equalizer rip? Is just going to hold on to it. Doesn't even need it. Shino's going to get chased down. It's a couple freebies for LYON as Loud wandered in and got chomped in half.
Saint already ahead in lane, now 1,500 gold up, and just cleaning up these easy kills. The team sets them up. We see here Redbird going a little bit aggressive, trying to find an angle, goes in, and then just can't get out again. Tries to back away, this stun into the wall. I think you have to flash it, but may have just been in a comfortable position regardless with the rest of the team moving forwards, but flashes late, dies, and then here, actually see a picture-in-picture play.
Yep, they're looking for Saint. They're going to try to knock him down. The paranoia gets popped. He's going to go under the tower. Knocked back onto his own teammate, though. Isles tried to peel, but failed to do so. Charged him back, denies the blast cone, though. In comes Inspired, and I think they're going to be able to find him. Well played by Isles with the ward, but I do think that knockback might have killed Saint.
Yeah, and especially because there was a shutdown as well. It's pretty gold positive for Loud there. Obviously, not ideal getting the gold on a Young Jay compared to someone like Envy, but not the best headbutt we've seen from a Poppy.
Leave that to the All-Stars, pal.
Yeah.
Press steadfast presence.
Yeah. I think it's hard, though, when you play into a Nocturne, because you're trying to wait out the shield. So this is how it started. Redbird got a big engage. Laid the CC. Just wasn't quite enough damage. Envy not connecting everything there. The ult 2, I don't think, connected. And then here, yeah, unfortunately, Isles slamming him a little bit too close to the target. With the wards that, was that 3 wards down?
Oh, yeah. They have vision in that area.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Full committal. I do hope someone on Loud pinged that and got the 15 gold reward, you know?
Exactly. Who's the real winner in that scenario? Sure, you killed the Nocturne, but they got 15 gold for pinging.
Yeah. I wonder... There's some players who just rapid fire on that. Like there'll be a top laner, a ward will get placed bot lane, they're watching it, boom, they'll ping it immediately.
Of course, there's nothing else to watch when you're playing top lane. You're not watching your matchup.
I think Shino in this situation probably in that state of mind.
Oh, he's locked in. He's locked in.
He's sitting there letting his Koenig Rook in, tank the damage, and he's just pinging wards of them.
Exactly. That's how you really win the matchup. It's about pinging as many wards as you can. Get that gold up. And LYON are over in the Dragon area, but it does look like they pulled off it as Loud got pushed through mid, and that does force LYON to back off.
Yeah, Loud already have a Dragon in pocket, but are down a decent amount in terms of gold, and I feel like the fact Envy doesn't even have a completed item yet feels pretty unfortunate.
Looks like an Essence Reaver from Bull, which is pretty atypical. Usually MFs are just going to stack BF items, so
yeah.
You know, generally you just see Bloodthirster into IE, and there's such incredible AD scaling on the bullet time that generally people just want to stack swords. That's kind of the way that you do build it up. We do see Young Jay, though, starting this. LYON are looking like they want to contest. The TP's going to be coming in. The Dragon's getting low. It's going to be a smite fight, and it is won by Inspired. Young Jay ults out, trying to get to safety on the side. It's Saint in trouble. The Locket Shield comes through. The peels are there. The Equalizer is good, and Young Jay is slated to fall. Dokla getting in onto Bull. Bull's going to be in trouble. Inspired is low, though. Envy picks up the kill. Berserker trying to join in, but they don't have any consistent damage. They cannot hurt the front line. Isles is trying to run for it. Won't be able to get over the wall. He's knocked down, too. LYON get the Dragon, but that's the only thing that averts total disaster, as it's a 3-for-1 fight for Loud.
Saint just ends up in such an uncomfortable position. Not sure how he found himself. Oh, Dokla might have found Redbird.
Dokla looking for Redbird, has no flash just yet. He is overheated, he is burned down. Lazy recall punished there. As yeah, it was doubly bad that Saint got caught in that position because it also gave Young Jay someone to ult out to.
Yeah, you can see he just walks up from bot, coming from the bot wave, jumped on by the Nocturne, and then the Akali's there to follow, gets hit by the Ornal, everything connects. You immediately lose your Jace, and your Jhin is ulting from super far away. And so by the time Berserker closes in on the fight's already kind of lost. You've already lost 2 members. Isles is in a comfortable position. You don't really have the setup to follow up this fight.
But the Jhin has his Ghost Blade. Why didn't he just kill the horse?
There you go.
The look of despair on your face when I pose the question. He's going IE second, though.
Yeah.
So that is nice. We can see the Coinbase gold grind here. Almost dead even between the two junglers, just slightly, ever so slightly ahead for Inspired, and he is going in towards that second AP item, so very likely going to be grabbing the Bloodletter's Curse here to shred for both himself as well as Dokla.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing to think about, is you have that setup for the other AP champion on your team.
Yep, it is pretty valuable. Abyssal can also be really nice kind of for the same reason. The amp on Abyssal is really nice if you have a lot of AP on your team. But they are going to be looking. Paranoia coming in here onto Saint, and there is the perfect execution. He's got no chance, has no flash. Playing these side lanes is going to get dangerous for Saint.
I think we're seeing some of the concerns that we had about the Jace sort of show up. Anytime he decides to exist in a side lane, in a team fight, in the river, out of the river, basically anywhere outside of the fountain, or like directly under a tower, he's having a tough time into this Akali Nocturne, and they're just kind of collecting freebies at this point.
They really are, and that's the problem. I mean, Jace is great in the 1v1 in the lane, but the game doesn't end after the laning phase, and even with a big gold lead here, he has struggled to find relevance in the team fights. We'll see, though. Inspired, you know, it's going to be on him, it's going to be on Isles to try to get vision, to try to be spotting out where the Nocturne is, to give Saint that coverage, right? You can't allow them to just keep picking up free kills. And if you can spot that Nocturne and be in position for a counter gank, hey, maybe you can turn that around and really start to punish them. I
think Young Jay is not strong enough just to nuke him down quickly, but it's the fact that the Akali is always there to follow up. And that's someone who's much easier to cover and prevent. You're never going to be able to stop the Nocturne from reaching the Jace, but you can have people there to peel, and the Akali is someone that you can track much easier. She can't just teleport. Well, she can't teleport, but she can't just appear across the map on top of the Jace.
You can see Dokla down to the spot side. Youngjae was lying in wait, but doesn't like what he found as the Equalizer is going to get dropped. Youngjae does have the flash, but will he have to use it? Isles moving down, but so is Redbird. There's the overheat flash out, and Dokla just given over an easy kill. Dokla uses the flash. It's a trade of flashes, but that's just such a free kill given in. And now they're going to look for Shino here. He's trying to clear out the wave, but the Rift Herald is there. Pops call the Forge God on the bot side. They're looking for a dive onto Isles, but he knocks away the Akali. Isles is going to be safe. Shino is also looking like he's completely fine. The tower never got finished. Saint got put low, and Loud winning out on both sides.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, but if the Nocturne was just used to help provide cover for Shino there and disrupt, but so hard to dive an Ornn in this situation. He's so tanky as well, doesn't have that much armor there, but the Jace just not really able to cut through. And I think the tower aggro juggling was a little bit off as well. It was Satan who had the aggro most of the time.
Look at this deep TP. They're going to be able to stun him into the wall here. Isles looking for him. Drops the exhaust for the slow. Dokla has the home guards coming out with this TP. Going to be able to finish him off. The kill will be gifted to Saint, so Dokla gets nothing. But it is a nice play there from LYON.
Bullet time. Getting chunked out here by the bullet time. So now should be able to put some pressure on this tower. No one there really to respond from the side of LYON. And
be looking for Envy here. Goes into the Shroud, but trying to burn him down a little bit. Dokla taking a number of tower shots, though, so ends up losing out on that trade. And I thought it was the IE second, but it is instead that Storm Racer there for Berserker. And Isles going to be looking for an engage here. The Nature's Grasp is popped. The Shock Blast does connect onto Bull, and the Equalizer is perfectly placed. He flashes, but it's too late. The Twisted Advance wraps him up and knocks him down, and now Redbird trying to run for it will be able to survive. But both the side lanes are being pushed here by Loud. It is going to be the Dragon, though, for LYON as the reward.
Yeah, we'll see if Loud try and move in this. Despite not having the AD carry, is a lot of resources expended by LYON. So many ults there burnt by them.
They're going to try to fight for sure.
They're going to go for it.
The TP is coming in. Paranoia is going to be popped. And we see that Saint is with the rest of the team, but they're just going to jump in onto Saint. And this time the Dragon is stolen there by Youngjae. Redbird flashes out, and LYON are crumbling. Berserker can do nothing. He does knock down one. Now Redbird is low. Envy is low as well. They're looking for him. The Ornn is just too damn tanky. Akali going to try to exit the back of the pit. Will be able to do so, and will TP out to safety. So LYON win the fight, but they lose the Dragon. Both junglers being able to steal one way this game. Berserker in trouble now as Bull comes in, but not confident to keep chasing forward. I think they could have gone for it.
Yeah, he was already so low. I guess he has summoners, right? And he had the backup behind him, didn't want to overstep too much. But this fight just ends up being a swoop in from the Nocturne to steal away the Dragon here. But the fight afterwards ends up super scrappy. We see even though those two members go down initially, they're not able to get on top of Berserker. Youngjae goes down, he pops the ult. Envy has to back away immediately because he's low. Redbird's taken down, and then yes, Shino's super tanky, but doesn't have the team to follow up from there. This game has been so scrappy, so back and forth, and it just kind of feels very chaotic right now. It feels like Loud focusing a lot of resources on killing the Jace, and LYON just trying to find some structure in these fights. But I'm looking at the fact there's a 4-0-4 Akali super threat right now. 10 stacks on the Dark Seal as well, and with a ton of pen in the build already.
And you got to find some way for Saint to be relevant, because he's just getting killed off at the start of every fight, it feels like. And they have no one to hurt the Ornn. So yeah, Shino is a problem. You know, Ornn does damage. It's not like this champion that you can just fully ignore and nothing happens. He is going to hurt in these fights if you're just ignoring him. And LYON are kind of in a position where they have to. And saw a big reaction from Dokal on the player cams after that fight. Was kind of interesting, looked very frustrated. You know, they did win the fight, but they lost the dragon, and maybe he feels like they're being outscaled. Paranoia going to be popped, and it is again and again. Picks in the side lane. The TP was quick for Miles to respond, but it just doesn't matter. They had been picking on Saint, and now it's Dokal's turn.
This combo just so hard to deal with. Just making the side lanes almost impossible for LYON to play out. We'll be able to pick up this turret as well and push them into a gold lead. I mean, Saint has a good amount of gold. Despite how fed this Akali is, it's still not much of a gold lead between the mid laners, but it's just irrelevant if you're getting deleted immediately in all these fights. And, I mean, the fact that you were behind in lane already is Envy, and now you're in a situation where you just have so many items in pocket. I'm worrying for LYON right now.
And Shino is 15, so the ornaments are going to be coming through. You know, he's going to start getting in those upgrades for the team, something we haven't been talking about thus far. Of course, he's had his upgraded Koenig Rooker for quite some time.
I wonder who gets the first ornament.
I think Redbird.
Yeah. I mean, the Protoplasm's a cool item. Why not?
It is. Kind of looks like a speaker to me.
I see that.
You know, like a boombox, you know, you carry around on your shoulder.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Pretty good vibes for the team. You know, maybe upgrade it a little bit, get a better sound system for the squad.
You say that, but if you wanted vibes to the team, you would have gone Bandle Pipes. That's
true.
the vibes I am.
True. That is facts. You know, turn yourself into an enchanter. Something that everyone wants to be in this meta. As Redbird takes a little bit of damage from Berserker and co. They are going to be able to push him back for now. Saint out towards that side lane, trying to catch the waves again, but Envy is just unperturbed. He's just moving around in the jungle, trying to put pressure on. No one can really face check him, and Dokal does have his second item, went for the Riftmaker because Inspired had that Bloodletter's Curse, but it's going to be quite some time before he has Azonias, which would help him, you know, to survive these potential dives. Saint is going to have no such luck. I mean, he's building a little bit of HP, you know, with the Black Cleaver coming out next, but I just don't know how they're going to be able to deal with this Akali Nocturne in the side lanes, and I don't know how they're going to be able to deal with the Ornn in the team fight.
This is a point in time where you really wish they had a nerf tank Jace. You could just slam all those items. I think, though...
No one has ever said those words, by the way.
There's definitely some top laners who said that.
Disgusting.
Yeah. I think right now, Loud are just making the map feel so small. Despite the fact the gold's super even, playing into this Nocturne Akali just limits how far you can approach, how far you can step up, and particularly playing out the side lanes. We do have dragons spawning in 40 seconds, so expect both teams to be trying to set up around there. I think it's important for LYON to get there early and start getting those saplings set up, start getting control around the area. If they don't, I imagine they might just not contest it, because if you don't have a clear setup and you have vision of these threats like the Akali, I wouldn't bother.
And they haven't had the best soul luck. I mean, they obviously won last game with the Ocean Soul. But this time, I don't think the Ocean Soul is very helpful for them, but it is very helpful for Loud with this Leona, with this Ornn, who's already pretty much bulletproof. It's hard to imagine him dying ever in a team fight if they have Ocean Soul as well.
Also, against the Jace, right, the poke, if you're playing something like an Akali and you get poked out, you can sustain back up with the Soul. We do see LYON trying to get position, but it's difficult, and Envy is looking to loop round here.
Nice knockback there from Inspired, and the Leona ult is kind of wasted. So a couple resources thrown down, and now LYON feel that they can move in, take a little bit of space. Bull is playing on the side. Youngjae is just soloing this down, and Envy is on the flank. He is in the back of the pit, hasn't been spotted just yet. LYON do let the Nature's Grass rip. Inspired trying to get there, but he's just going to be CC'd up by the Ornn. The bullet time comes down. Inspired has to flash back. There's the Paranoia into the back line, but Youngjae has to flash out. He's going to get Twisted Advance on by Inspired, but Inspired falls. Isles is low. Redbird's going back in, and Envy is looking for the 80 carry, and absolutely deletes him. Berserker is cut in half by Envy. chances of LYON slip away in game 4.
They're just going to go straight to Baron. Envy was slow to get into that fight, but as soon as he arrives, he just cuts down the enemy AD carry. Dokkan and Saint looking to push up mid. I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to get the tower here.
I don't know. I mean, Shino, I think, is going to be able to just tank anything they can do, clear out the wave. Dokkan and Saint trying to make something happen, but this game looking damn near impossible for them. At this point, they just can't find value from their carries. This Akali just is one-shotting everyone, has the upgraded Shadow Flame. Let's see how this happens one more time.
So Envy ends up actually getting rooted here at the start, so is a little slow to end up getting the fight, gets ulted as well off the root, but just ends up moving in from the other side, and it's now hard to track where they don't have vision. Waits for the steadfast presence, flashes in, and Berserker gone immediately. And the rest of the team was still doing damage. Bull got a lot of value off the bullet time in the mix in that fight. And it just felt like, you know, as soon as Envy arrived, the fight was over. LYON getting exactly, oh no.
Berserker in trouble, he does have the flash, will have to use it. That mobility with the Proto Belt, with the Shuriken flip, with the perfect execution. Akali is flying from one side of the map to the other. And LYON are feeling very close to sending us to a game 5 here. Bull having a lot of value in that last team fight. This time, Saint did get a ton of damage out, but it's mostly on Ornn, it's on Leona. It's just not on targets where you're really changing the game. Bull is completely unpressured, and Envy can one-shot Berserker at a moment's notice.
Yeah, the damage is just insane at this point. And the fact is, he could just buy a Medjai's with the 10 stacks already and just capitalize on that spike if he wanted to. Just such a strong core of pen items available in the inventory just to decimate anyone without magic resist. And at this point, no one really has magic resist on the enemy team. Equalizer comes through.
They're going to drop the Equalizer, and here comes the Nature's Grasp. They're going to go forward, but YoungJay has the Paranoia. The curtains are called. The Coral Forge God is going to be thrown down as a response. Knocks up Dokla on the side. They get a kill on the Saint. Akali Nocturne. The combo that just keeps on destroying LYON time and time again.
They had to make a play. They had to go for it because they knew, I mean, Saint was long for this world in the mid lane. They don't find anything, though, and LYON are pushing in, taking, inhibitor tower top, inhibitor tower mid. And at this point, looking like they're going to be taking this game. LYON have to find a fight here, or they're going to reset and spend all their gold.
They just don't have those X-Factor champs that make you believe in a comeback, though. There's not really that ability to find a quick pick. We'll see if LYON can make something happen, but without Saint, there's not really a chance of a team fight, and they don't have any snap engage. It's just really the Twisted Advance. It's the Nature's Grasp from Inspired to Flash Stun of the Wall from Isles. These are not tools that are very scary.
I mean, you look at the Red Bull Baron power play, 4,000 gold. They were already in a good position, 7,000 gold up now. I'm concerned about the spends that are going to come through. Oh, the Bandle Pipes. He's there for the good vibes.
He's got the Bandle Pipes, and all 5 ornaments have been upgraded. So the gold lead's even kind of lying to you, because it's really more than that at this point when you're adding all the additional stats from the ornaments. And watch Saint get one shot. Here.
Yeah, that's about what I expected from this play. Not much you can do. And the thing is, now they're so far ahead, we're starting to see luxury buys come out, right? The GA comes out from YoungJay, Seeker's Arm Guard comes out from Envy. We even got the red pot picked up by Bull. So these are the things you buy where it gives you insurance. If you do overstep, you have the safety net. And also, when you're buying a red pot, this is very much a signal. Next fight is the last one.
It is absolutely that signal, and we'll see if LYON can do anything to stop that. You got 2 supers stacked up on the top wave. You got a super coming in through mid, and they're gonna have to deal with that. They don't have a great wave clear. Last game, we doubted the Garen, we were wrong. This game, we doubted the Jace, and I think we might have been right. Saint definitely struggling, even with a great laning phase, even with the 2 early kills, just hasn't really been able to have an effect. This Akali weathered the storm in the early game, and him and YoungJay have just been on a tear through the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of... Oh, Engage comes in.
They're going to be going in, the bullet time, the Paranoia, everything getting spent. Inspired, trying to survive. Nature's Grasp comes out, but it's nothing doing for LYON. The Equalizer, though, across multiple members. There's Envy coming to the back line, so Berserker just has to exit. The team has no damage because Berserker can't even get close. It's 3 kills unanswered for LYON. It's LYON destroying this game. It's Shino TPing into the base, and it's LYON with their eyes on the Nexus, their eyes on the prize. They want game 5, and they are damn well gonna get it. Bull pushing forward, taking a little bit of damage. It's up to Berserker, it's up to Isles, but they can do nothing. Youngjae flashes in, has the GA. They're looking for another kill just to pad the stats that much more. Berserker can't even get one on the steps of the fountain. We're going to game 5. Next coach comes up. So how'd the draft go? Absolutely just owned them. These guys are clueless. Can you believe they gave us this? And it's just so funny.
Do you know which coach is correct?
The coach with the better team.
The one who wins the game, because whoever wins had the better draft, you know?
I call that Genji is really good at drafting.
True.
Yes.
I call this outcome-focused assessments, right? You know, you look at the outcome of the game, and you make all your assessments based on that.
Exactly. So based on that LYON draft, all we had to do to make it a good draft was sub in Genji. And then it would have been a very good draft.
You're starting to understand
Because I think that Genji might have been able to win that last game.
You know, potentially. They've been doing a lot of winning recently.
They do like to get wins.
Just beat Genji. Is that the tagline?
That is. I mean, League of Legends is pretty easy when you think about it. Just beat Genji.
Yeah, well.
I don't know why more people haven't figured that out. We need to spread the good word. All right, Varus going to maintain on that ban list. Vi has been getting chain banned out as well, so it is going to be Vi and Nautilus getting banned. Quite a few of the engaged champs have been taken away, but I mean, Rakan is available, Rel is available. Support, you can't really ever get all of the engaged champs out, and Karma has been pretty high profile and getting banned quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see if that does reach the ban table, and it does.
Something to note is that LYON have had the same bans for the last 3 games, which has been Orianna, Vi, and Bessa. Loud has picked up the Orianna ban, but the Ambessa still open and available. Will it get left open here? We did see Loud banning away, you know, Nami, banning away Azir. Will they get a look in here?
Yeah, I mean, Azir definitely does rise in priority the further you get into the series, right? And there is the Azir ban. Ori not going to be played this whole series. Azir not going to be played this whole series. So the question is, what can LYON get value with as far as the first pick goes? Some of the junglers that I do think kind of get high prio sometimes, especially when you're getting less and less mobile, less and less safe champs, so things like Malphite that we saw banned out earlier in the series. But I definitely don't think that's first pick worthy. Trundle is still up and available. There's lots of answers in the jungle, so I'm kind of less concerned about that and more interested where they're going to go for the soul lanes, because I feel like most bot lanes are pretty plug and play.
Yeah, I think Corki, with the Nami now being open, Corki Nami, really strong combo. You know, it used to be the Lucian Nami, now it's kind of like the Corki Nami, the fact that the Gatling gun procs super fast, and also you can proc it on your ult as well.
What's your take on if, you know, Loud should deny the Nami at all?
I think it depends what you're going to pair it with, because, you know, Lucian has already been taken away. What other AD carries would you look to pair the Nami with now? Because I think it's less than other enchanters. I feel like she's more dependent on having a good pairing. Although, I mean, I guess we'll have to see what's going to come out this game.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, I can think it's pretty difficult. I mean, I think Nami can plug and play with anything. Like, you can play Nami with, like, a Jinx or an Aphelios or whatever and just play a scaling, and it's like, I'm just your plug and play enchanter. Is it as strong as Lulu as a pairing? No, definitely not. But the question is, how much power are you taking away from your opponents by denying it? And that's the kind of the trade-off, is it's like, yeah, I might get a little bit of a weaker pairing, but you're going to get a way weaker pairing if you believe that.
Yeah, and we are also quite deep in Fearless, so, like, the Lulu option isn't there. The Seraphine option isn't there. We do see the Xin Zhao coming through, which is honestly pretty late for Xin Zhao in a series. The Ambessa's on the other side, which is a flex as an option, but can be played there in the jungle. I do think Xin Zhao quite strong when paired with enchanters typically, but it looks like they're leaning towards the Rakan, want some solid engage available for them.
Yeah, and this can be one of the problems sometimes later in a series too, is if you go for an enchanter, you know, where are you drafting your engage? Ornn is gone, Sion is gone, a lot of the best engaged junglers are also gone, right? So I do think sometimes that could be at more of a premium. Caitlyn Nami, I actually really like this as a choice. Yeah. That is going to be so hard for Rakan, and if you are quick, when Rakan W's forward, you drop a trap, you drop a bubble, you can CC this guy 100-0. It becomes very difficult for him to play aggressive. And if you don't play aggressive, you're just getting outranged and poked out.
Yeah, I think generally the stuff that does well with Nami is stuff that can have a lot of pressure either in the lane or in the mid game, or just stuff that can really have long-range bursts to proc those the Tidecall's Blessing, is it the E?
It is.
And I think Caitlyn just fits the bill exactly. And with the Rakan already being shown, it's going to be a really hard lane to deal with. Annie ban comes through. I mean, I think as well, if you're playing this Caitlyn, you want to play at max range, set up the traps. Having the Annie Rakan as a threat would be a big problem.
And I mean, Nami is food for any burst champ, right? You know, it's one of the squishiest, slowest champs in the game, so always have to be very careful about that. But I do think, you know, compositionally, the LYON first 3, very strong. The lane, though, is a real concern, and we saw, you know, with them falling behind in lane, last game could be difficult. Trundle, common ban when you go to goes in, very, very difficult matchup for Xin Zhao. You kind of just lose out in all of the 1v1s in the skirmishes, and you kind of get outscaled as a result. So we're going to be taking that away and just continuing to deny potential AD jungle options.
I think that's kind of the beauty of having this Ambessa in pocket, though. If the jungle pool gets thin too much, you can kind of just put that in the jungle and flex that there. So they have options in that regard. It makes these bans from LYON a little bit more uncomfortable. You could throw bans towards the mid lane instead, but you would just end up thinning the pool for yourself potentially, since it's Loud who have first pick coming out of this. They end up going for the Malphite ban as well here. I guess the fact that it is this Nami support, knowing that Loud do need engage from somewhere, they go for this Sehen, and this doesn't really answer questions with the flex on the Ambessa. They can both be flexed jungle and top.
They definitely can. Shino is the only one on their team who has played the Ambessa thus far, so you know, maybe you know, if you're kind of relying on historical stuff, he would be the one to play it. And Jack's going to be the answer very likely here for Dokla, and I do think it's going to be a bit tough here for Loud if they're not creating advantages, you know, in this bot lane. Again, they are kind of playing a similar style to what we saw in that Rise game, where so far they have no real go buttons at all, right? And if you are playing from behind without go buttons, it is very difficult. You know, you try to show up to a dragon late and you get engaged on by a Rakan flashing out of a brush. You get engaged on by, you know, the Xin just jumping in on you and starting out the fight. That can be really, really tough. But if this kind of a team gets ahead, it's also equally tough on the other side. This would be Saint blinding the Zoe, but there's a lot of squishy champs on the other team, so Zoe could have value. Victor, much more kind of standard stable, and I feel like fits what they're drafting, because this is basically just like 5v5, you have engage, you have side lane. It feels about as standard can get.
Yeah, this feels like you're ticking a lot of the typical boxes for what a composition wants. I think LYON defaulting back to a lot of areas, not specific comfort for the players, but just a composition that feels comfortable to play. And now Loud, what are they going to go for this mid lane pick for Envy? Are you just going to try and pick up a control mage to match in the mid lane?
Way or something.
There is something like Syndra. It did get nerfed, but is available. Instead, going for the Vex. So something a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and you can set up well for the public execution, because you ult in the backline, you land the fear, and off the fear you can chain that with the public execution. The Nami wave comes in over the top, so I kind of understand the thought process with that. This is, I think, a very snowbally comp, one way or the other for Loud. LYON, after having a comp that just could not team fight at all last game, I feel like they said, you know what, we're going to draft for 5v5, we're just going to try to survive the lanes, play for that. The series has been slow, so I can see the merit in that.
Yeah.
The question is, can you keep stability in a very uneven 2v2 in bot lane?
This is a big test of LYON's theory that you can just play bot lane safe. You don't need to put attention to it. Advantages in bot lane are hard to build because you have the home guard, because you're now playing into Kate Nami, which is a lane who have said, we're testing that theory. We want to crush you. If you don't survive against this, you're going to have a problem. So we'll see how that pans out. I also think the Vex is interesting because a lot of dash-based champions who are looking to close the distance, Rakan into Vex. If you dash forward and get feared mid-grand entrance, you're going to have a really bad time.
You absolutely are. I mean, anything lands on that Rakan in the building, you're probably just getting deleted. But at the same time, for the Vex, you know, you can be engaged on yourself. You know, if you don't have that fear prepped and ready and you get flashed on with the quickness, with the grand entrance, anyone on Loud's team is pretty killable with a good engage coming through from LYON, so they have to be a bit worried about that. Sehen can be tanky, but only when you are having a good game. Xin Zhao, obviously you have the Crescent Guard, you can create a lot of space, they can control a lot of the area here with some of their picks, with the Gravity Fields, with the Arcane Storm. So it's going to be an interesting one. All comes down to this. So much pressure, I think, on both of these teams. The weight of expectation of your regions. Of course, you are not eliminated, but you are knocked to lower bracket, and you're knocked to lower bracket against a JDG who is hungry for redemption. This is realistically the best chance at a series win for both of these teams. The other two opponents are expected to be harder.
Yeah, and if you end up losing a series and then you go up against JDG, who after a rough defeat against Genji are hunting for a win, the worst feeling is getting 2-0'd out of first stand and leaving without a series win. And that is ultimately going to happen to two teams at this tournament. You do not want to be one of those teams.
Absolutely do not. We got an early pause here. I'll update you as soon as I find out any information about it. But as we look across at the runes, nothing really standing out as very different across the board.
I think for me, this game, I think Saint on the Victor, quite a stable champ generally, and there's not as many threats as maybe like, you know, an Akali and a Nocturne that we saw last game. I think last game was really hard for him to play. I think it's difficult to give him all the fault considering the position he was put in last game, but I do think he's had a rough series so far. There's been mistakes. There've been solo kills when it shouldn't necessarily have happened. You know, the LeBlanc game, he got solo killed by both the enemy mid and top. There was the Ari game where he charmed himself, an unfortunate situation. So, yeah, I think ultimately this is a chance for redemption for Saint, and I hope he has a better game here because the Victor can have a lot of power here, a lot of melees on the enemy team, where if you get a good Gravity Storm, good value, you get a ton of damage.
Completely agree. So the update is we are back in the game. There were some minor audio issues that the players were experiencing, so they paused, they sorted it out. We're back in and good to go. I completely agree. You know, one of my concerns, though, for Saint is that he has 2 games of Victor all time in his career. Wow. And, you know, you assume that you're playing in solo queue, you assume that you're getting practice elsewhere, but still, let's be honest, it's not going to be a comfortable position when you haven't played it all this year and you've played it twice in your entire pro career.
There's a difference between solo queue games and stage games, and then this is international stage games.
Game 5.
Game 5 as well. Yeah, a lot of pressure. There's some picks that you are forced to bring out in a situation like this because it's fearless and you hope you can play to the level you want to. And I hope that he does, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are thinking about LYON as, oh, it's an inspired team, right? And one of the things that was kind of an Achilles heel for FlyQuest, you know, with Inspired, back when they were kind of this expected team to be able to challenge the LCK, the LPL, was often Game 5 mid lane picks. So his quad was kind of getting destroyed. You know, famously the Zillion pick, getting solo killed really early on. You know, going in for the blind Yone into Chovy's Smolder. You know, a lot of these times where they did get to a Game 5, and you're thinking maybe this is the time they finally do it, and that was kind of a stumbling point for Quad. We'll see if Saint can kind of overcome that. He has a very standard pick here, but not a lot of experience playing it in pro, and he needs to step up for sure.
So far, seeing the expected outcome in the bot lane with just this heavy harass. I feel like Rakan, in terms of engaged supports, you don't have as much engaged threat as like a Nautilus, but you have that sustain if you can hit the Gleam. Oh, Dokla?
Dokla gonna have to flash, but okay, I'm surprised he didn't keep getting chasing. But I guess they don't know where Xin is, and because Zehen is on the bottom scuttle, they're assuming that Inspired is on the top scuttle. But Inspired actually took a quick base, so he did 6 camps base, and now he's going towards that top scuttle. Youngjae gonna get some early vision here over by the enemy Raptors, and thankfully for Dokla, his jungler was assumed to be on the top side, which meant he got to hold on to the flash.
Yeah, able to. Oh, Inspired might have an angle here.
He is coming in here behind Envy. Envy playing towards that bottom side, but not far enough over there. Flashes, fears. In comes the audacious charge, the knock up. The gravity field is going to stun him, and it's first blood in for Saint. Envy could have just ran down. I feel like he could have just ran down.
Yeah, I think so. I think he tried to run towards the tower. I think he thought if he did the flash fear, that would be enough in this situation. But just chase down under tower and Inspired flashing out again just in time so he doesn't take that extra tower hit. With the ramping damage, I'm not even sure if it would have killed him, but it would have been close.
Yeah, I feel like he just allowed Inspired to close the gap without having to flash because he ran back towards him instead of just walking down into the bottom side river.
The thing is, his bot lane has so much prio. His bot lane would be able to move up and assist. An extended chase there would be risky for LYON, so...
Well, big advantage here for Saint. Nice pathing from Inspired. He took the early base, got the scuttle, and ganked on a timing that he wasn't really expecting, because often junglers will do the 6 camps, do the scuttle, then base, then get out on the map. So I think Envy was taken aback a little bit by that timing, not expecting him to be there. On the top side, Shino and Dokla going pretty much even, and things looking good overall for LYON thanks to that early kill. But of course, the bot lane is going to be a continuous issue here for Berserker. It's not necessarily going to get better.
Yeah, also, if you look at Berserker's items, he has Tear, Ruby Crystal, and the
glowing moat, the most powerful item in League of Legends history.
When my AD carry comes back to lane with that, and the enemy AD carry has BF Sword, that's a little bit of a disparity.
You know, you're feeling, I'm not going to go out of mana.
Yeah, oh, true.
And I'm going to have spells up very frequently thanks to the glowing moat.
Feel a little bit healthier, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
You took a little stone, and it just gave you some extra vitality.
And that thing is glowing, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
You think about it, people pay extra for a really shiny diamond. Why wouldn't you pay a lot for a glowing moat?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You've sold me.
Exactly. I mean, Berserker was sold. Why wouldn't you be sold, So powerful buy there with the Ruby Crystal moat tier.
It's also 3 items to 1. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And that is, we didn't see how that started up, but this is what I was talking about when you're playing into this kind of matchup. You can't really ever W forward. It's kind of the same thing when you used to play against Caitlyn and Morgana as Rakan. You go forward, and when you're Wing forward, it's so easy to just place the trap, place that bubble, and be able to get it. And Inspire going to try to run through mid, use that prio. They want to stop YongJ here. They know he's over there. They're going to TP in with Isles. The Dragon getting pretty low. Smite is up and available. I think this is going to be killed before he gets there. They back off. They secure the Dragon. Well played and well escaped by Loud.
Yeah, it feels so good for Loud. The fact you're able to get that and disengage from the situation. LYON were rushing over to prevent that. And I think part of it is, especially when you have so little control over bot lane and you have scaling elements of your composition like the Victor, right? You really would love to get that early Dragon, or at least slow it down. Even if they didn't get that first Dragon, slowing Loud down, slowing the pace of the game could have gone a long way. It's Chemtech Dragon second as well, and I feel like you're feeling pretty good that could be a really high-value soul. Hextech still on the cards, Infernal still on the cards.
Yep. Saint just trying to pull the wave here, see if you can actually deny that cannon. Of course, will not be able to. They do have to be a bit careful as Isles goes forward. Berserker taking the bad end of that trade. Isles is moving in on Redbird, but Bull is just shooting your AD carry the whole time, and now he steps in onto the trap. That Piltover Peacemaker just barely missed.
I can sense the frustrations and the want to go in, but it's just not helping you in this lane. Bull even popped, he had the Triple Tonic Adaptive Potion, and he's already got 147 AD with that, so he's doing so much damage.
Yeah, it is going to be very tough to deal with him. You can see he had the lethal tempo even stacked, so he is looking powerful down in that bot lane 2v2. Isles have been pretty good with the Gleaming Quills, though. Every time you hit one of those, it is, a little bit of a relief. You're healing up. And that is very important in difficult Rakan matchups, because if you can't engage, all you have is your Q, and you need to be hitting those Gleaming Quills to just try to keep the health high. Dokla going to jump in and does pop the Grandmaster's Might there, expends the ulti, but Shino has his ultimate up and available, so Dokla does have to be careful here.
Little trade comes out between supports. See Isles, the auto Q auto, gets all 3 procs of his supply item on the back of that. That's money.
That's support mechanics right there. That's about as intense as it gets.
Yeah.
You see that spell weaving?
Oh, yeah.
People talk about how difficult it is for Riven. What about for Rakan?
True. Oh,
Dokla going to be going forward. Nice sidestep there on the public execution. That is a trade of flashes. The ulti was already down for Dokla. Dokla almost gets Shino with the solo bolo. Will send him back to base. He has no TP, and Dokla has TP advantage plus lane prio. So he's going to get a play here, you have to think, and hold that teleport advantage. Envy, though, on the roam. They're looking to set up a dive down on the bot side here, potentially.
Yeah, and as much as things aren't going great for the bot lane offline, the gold lead isn't crazy, and it's being matched by Dokla in the top side. With that kill mid as well, Saint has an even bigger gold lead. The solo lanes are doing well, and we said it would be proving the point of Inspired. Either can the bot lane hold on? Is Caitlyn Nami going to crush you in lane? Does it actually matter? And right now, it appears they're holding on, for the time being at least.
And YongJ going to be spotted out by this ward, which is pretty high value there, as Saint could have been exposed to a potential gank. But as this vision gets cleared out, it gets a lot scarier for that bot lane 2v2, because while they have held on thus far, if you get dove one time and you lose your full tower, that gets really problematic. First turret gold is so much.
It's a bad thing. Not great. Do you see Dokla trying to get a reset off there? Oh, I've seen this angle before.
I have too. Envy going to be forced to flash out. The Arcane Storm comes down.
He walked down into the river, though, this time.
He's evolving. Trap's going to be set on both sides. It's a little bit awkward here for LYON as they want to retreat back, try to dodge as many skill shots as you can, but you always have to be aware of where those traps are sitting. It does feel like they're stabilizing a bit, though, in the bot lane 2v2. Their wave clear is getting better. Yeah,
you see at this point with some points in the Phosphorus Bomb and also having the ult available for Corki, a lot easier to clear the wave. I know we joked about the tier and the items he had, but the extra mana pool actually really does help.
Yeah, when you're on the back foot, you kind of sometimes can only farm with spells, right? And so it is actually very important. And of course, I mean, Corki just needs it in general.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, he was going to build it anyway, but in this situation it is pretty good value. And I feel like Loud, YongJay's just constantly been coming
Well, that is risky as LYON. Isles on the back foot here. LYON bot lane getting pushed back now as Redbert was going forward there. Dokla in 1v2 in a lot of trouble, has no flash. Public execution, the Grim Deliverance gets leap struck away from Dokla, absorbs the double ults and the gank and gets out to tell the tale. Inspired here to cover, so Dokla should be able to pick up the wave.
Yeah, good moves there from Dokla to dodge away. I feel like YongJay spent so much time bot trying to find this dive that never really happened. Goes to play topside, Dokla dips away from it, and it's LYON with the gold lead overall right now. I think it's just not going quite the way Loud had hoped, and there's still very much a playable game, but you know, you really wanted to get a big lead with this Caitlyn Nami. They do get the bot lane quest, which does massively inflate the gold lead that they have, but once Berserkers comes through, it's going to mitigate a lot of that. And the thing is with the gold quest, as long as you're in lane, you get so much of the progress towards it. It's really hard to massively have an advantage over your opponent unless you force them out of lane and they go swap top lane or something.
They're going to be on the dragon here. So LYON looking to grab this Chemtech Drake, and we'll find out what soul is going to be on the table now.
How many Ocean Souls are we getting?
That's 3 in a row. We had the Hextech the one game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the 5th game was.
We're getting humid here.
Yep. Well, it's going to be, I don't know. I mean, I would say it's not great for either side. Maybe, you know, honestly, it feels very even. It's like maybe Jax gets a little bit more than Ambessa from it. Zhen and Xin are similar.
I think the top jungle, like,
pretty similar.
Yeah, but it's not crazy.
No, it doesn't feel great, but it is going to be only one dragon piece for both teams, so it's not as though one team had a big stacking advantage and is going to be devastated by that.
Yeah.
Soul is a long ways off this game. YongJay going to be moving in, goes in with the Grim Deliverance immediately. Can he hit the dreaded return? He can, but there is really no follow-up. Envy hits the ulti, but Saint is pushing him back. Saint needs to be careful to not go too far. YongJay low, Inspired in the area. Trade of ultimates, 1 for 2. So Saint's going to be pretty happy again to be absorbing this pressure.
I don't think Envy was ever going to go in on the ult, but Saint got his quest leveled up as that play was happening and got the upgraded Make Treads just to even further dissuade any potential for that play to follow through. So Saint able to survive from that one, puts a lot of damage back in return. Things have been pretty stable so far.
Yeah, Dokla at a bit of a weak spot right now. Before you complete that Triforce, when Ambessa has Eclipse, you really do not want to fight. You have to be very careful about trades like that, as you are going to take a lot of punishment. Dokla wants to get that Triforce involved before he looks for anything more. Envy on an invade here, though. Envy is going to be behind him. Has no ult because he spent it, but they are looking to try to set up the potential dive. YongJay coming over here. The public execution is up and available, and now the Counter-Strike is gone, and I think that is going to be curtains for Dokla. He's going to try to run for it. We'll see if he can actually outplay this. Leap Strike back, pops the Grandmaster's Might, but he's going to be pulled in by the dreaded return and knocked down. No shot with no Counter-Strike. Loud, try again. They love these repeat angles. They love these repeat yanks, and they have paid off.
Yeah, just great setup from Machino there to get the Counter-Strike and make the dive so easy for the rest of the team. And Spider's looking here.
Yeah, he has no flash, but good sidestep there. On the wind becomes lightning. Envy stays safe, as Saint going to be the one dealing with Bull and Redbird, but taking a 1v2 and liking what that trade did for him.
Saint getting some hit down here onto the Caitlyn. Some decent poke there, but the Nami will heal back up. But now Berserker's gone up to the top lane, and that's stacked up Crystalline Overgrowth, so going to be able to get some gold there. And we look at the bot lane matchup, 200 gold advantage for Bull. That quest has come in for Berserker, so hasn't really amounted to much, that bot lane advantage that we saw them trying to build up.
Not at all, and Envy was just getting zoned off the tower, so now their lane assignments are all kind of messed up because Envy was getting zoned off, so Bull and Redbird ran all the way up towards top to try to help him. Then Envy got into the tower, so now they're like, oh wait, now we got to go back towards mid, so does kill your tempo a little bit there as Saint trading back and forth here with Bull. Redbird caught out in the middle of the map here. Going to be popping the ulti, flashing away, but why even spend it? Inspired flashed over that bubble, and from there it felt like a sure thing.
Yep, committing the flash early just to guarantee the kill's going to happen. Saint moving in as well to make sure the backup's there. Nami just such a vulnerable support, so easy to pick off and find in these situations. and just really cutting down the control that Loud has over the game.
It is, and that's both the summoners off him. Still pretty valuable to get the flash from Inspired, but feels like once he flashed, you should have just held your flash and taken the death, because it is always scary now if you want to try to contest at the next dragon. Rakan has flash, you know, Redbird, obviously he's not the prime target, but you'll take him if he's free.
I mean, just a freebie kill on support feels so good. It's like the Garen game we had when the Alistair, you just ult them. Oh,
is Shino going to be able to get a solo on a Dougla? We didn't see how that was happening at all. Shino's still like full health, so something went very wrong there for Dougla on the bot side as Shino coming to life in this series.
Yeah, no ult used either. So Shino just finding an angle and putting Dougla into the dirt, and Dougla's had counterpicking so many of these games into Shino. Shino, who's been so heavily praised. Yeah, and Shino, who's been so heavily praised domestically. The AD carry who switched to top lane to be on top of the region, and putting down the hit on a Dougla. And
there is the Coinbase gold grind. 1,200 lead there for Shino. So Dougla had just been getting poked down, got very low, and yeah, I mean, Shino just goes forward. He has no Counter-Strike, and it's a bit of an easy kill.
That was
Dougla underestimating the damage.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his face. That's tough.
Feels bad in this game 5 as well, especially when I feel like the rest of the map is doing pretty good. You even see Berserker with a gold lead now with how that matchup was going. The only matchup that's really going rough is that top lane matchup. 1,300 down. I mean, I guess Redbird has a 45 gold lead, but, you know, who's counting?
Yeah. And Dougla had been doing really well. You know, in the 1v1, he was up early, you know, had that couple hundred gold advantage after he took a plate, but got ganked a couple times. He ended up dying to one of those ganks, and then now getting solo killed really does put him in a tough spot. He is not going to be able to interact with Shino at all, but Shino is running down for this dragon. Dougla does have TP. They clearly want to fight. Envy is coming from below, so they're going to look for a different angle.
Approach is coming through.
Yep, Bolt trying to get past that gravity field, taking some damage from Saint, but the dragon is already gone. Dougla has arrived. Envy still in behind them. Dougla looking with the Counter-Strike. Nice buffer, though, from Shino, but he's going to get Charm Flash across multiple members. Berserker pushing forward. It's Isles incredibly low. There's another stun going to be landing on Shino. He is low. He is down. Berserker going in for Bull. Hits him with the Frost Bomb. Has him low, and it's a flash forward from Saint to seal the deal with a laser to the face. In comes Inspired. They get the crash. They get the dragon. They get the team fight, and they're damn well sure going to get the tower as well.
Huge team fight there from LYON, so controlled, and Shino, the most fed member of Loud, not able to find a lucky and shut down, and the control there was massive. And now a 2,000 gold lead for the LCS representatives. Oh,
Young Jay has to use the Grim Deliverance, gets over the wall, as Inspired won't be able to find that one, but that is just even more the icing on the cake, as Shino got a little bit too confident.
Yeah, and Isles gets so much value here, and it's just crazy he survives. So Shino ends up ulting in here to try and buffer, gets charmed here, connects on a 3, and then even with a stun, Isles gets out so low on HP. Shino gets focused down, and then it looks like maybe Loud can lick their wounds and get away. Saint says no, we're getting more. Inspired says we want the tower too, and it turns into just such a huge value play for LYON there.
And look at Saint now, picks up a Seekers, you know, knowing there is a lot of dive and he spent his flash, so he knows he could be vulnerable, and it's going to pick up the Seekers as the response here. Shino's gold lead gets cut down quite a bit, and the mid-jungle advantage is massive. Berserker now almost 1,000 gold ahead of Bull. So, you know, the experiment here of this Caitlyn Nami, taking away the Nami, trying to pick for the priority, got them a little bit of an edge in the early game, but not paying off now.
Not enough. And I think in a scenario where it's a higher value soul and you've got those 2 first dragons, maybe there's a better argument for it. But the fact it's an ocean soul, you traded dragons, doesn't feel as good. And on top of that, just the setup. I feel like if you're playing Caitlyn Nami, you want setup on the objective, you want the trap line down. They were late to that dragon, and it really didn't favor them. And
it shows the power of Snap Engage, right? That is something that you don't really have at all on Loud. And you have these powerful melee carries, but a lot of their survivability is in their mobility, is in their dash, the pressure that they're putting on. So when Isles just pops the quickness and CC's up 3 people, that means Saint and Berserker have no threat. That means they are going crazy in that fight, and that is really, really tough. Caitlyn is one of these champs that, you know, talking to Pro 80 carries, sometimes you'll ask, well, why isn't this in the meta when it's popular in solo queue? They'll often tell me, Caitlyn seems really strong until you make a single mistake, and then it feels like the worst champion in the game.
Yeah, and especially you look at the item that we're coming to now. Berserker has Triforce, about to have the Mirror Mana fully stacked. On the other side, Caitlyn with the Storm Razor and then the IE not quite completed, you're going to feel so much weaker right now in comparison.
Dokla is going to spot someone down there, but they are behind him. He needs to play very, very safe. YoungJay's in the area as well as Envy. Isles was on a really long flanking angle, and they feel like Shino may have overstepped, but has the ward and Tri-Brush spots inspired. Dokla now going to get the bad news as he face checked into YoungJay, and Envy's coming in with the ult. That's going to be flashed away from, as he had already used the ward hop. So Dokla on weak side spends the flash, but stays alive, and that's the important part.
I think given how rough the situation was with the enemy jungler behind you, getting away just building a flash is pretty all right, all things considered. Does mean you're going to be a bit vulnerable for the next 5 minutes, but you'll take it. You have Dragon coming up in a minute 20, so I expect the team to start setting up for that soon.
We'll see who's going to be able to get first move. It is Isles face checking. The bubble will not land, so we can just use the grand exit to get away to safety. Pops the Ghost as well from his spellbook. Still sitting on TP, so you would think he would want to cycle through that before this dragon does spawn. And Berserker now has that Muramana fully charged up, so that is ready to go. Saint, you think, probably has his gold for Azonias if he wants to upgrade it before this fight. And it is going to be Envy finding Isles with a nice little chunk of damage. Now maybe the TP pays some dividends if he needs to go back to base.
The thing is, even if Saint doesn't complete the Zhonya's, you get so much value out of the Seekers. I hope Bull has the Infinity Edge now, because if he doesn't, you're going to feel really bad. Actually sells the Doran's Blade to complete the IE there, so they are very set on getting the power now for this team fight. Going to be moving down. We do have some item completions across the board, right? Shino's got his second, YoungJay's got his second. They really want to make their stand at this dragon and ideally get that early and get the trap set up. But we actually see Bull moving in bot lane and getting Prio there. I think you need your Caitlyn grouped with your team setting up the traps, because now LYON are pushing in, they're taking control.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bull just kind of greeting for the wave, and it's not like you're going to base again before this fight. You already based, you sold the D-Blade, you got the Infinity Edge. This is as strong as you're going to get, so now you got to play for the fight. Shino does have that item advantage over Dokla, so Dokla just has to play it very far back. Both top laners with their TP, but Shino about to have his flash and does have it now. He is TPing in already, and he's going to be coming in behind them. Will be spotted on that ward, though. The trap line coming out. Isles trying to get around the side, but he's spotted as well. Dragon getting incredibly low, but no way in for Loud. They don't have any engage, so can't find the angle. Envy is behind them, but doesn't want to go in on a solo mission. Would just get knocked down, and now LYON can just back it up unless they feel like they found a fight here. Bull maybe going to face check in onto Isles, and Isles flashes in. The charm is there. Is the follow-up there as well? Inspired goes forward. The Grim Deliverance comes through. The Fear is going to land on Inspired. Inspired flashes out, staying alive for now. The knock-up on Shino. Shino can't finish the job. He's got to flash out. Envy is low, and Saint is going crazy. Saint and Berserker are untouched. Redbird will get away, but LYON take full control in game number 5.
Redbird in trouble here as well.
Redbird, you can say that again. He's got nowhere to go. Saint wraps around behind him. You said he needed to step up in this moment, and he is doing just that.
Crushing blow for Loud, and LYON going to move straight onto the Baron. The respawn time is a short, but I just don't think it's enough to get back there in time.
I don't think so either. This is not a Hextech Rift. They can't get out there. Isles is going to make sure no one is coming to contest this. YoungJay has respawn now, and they do have an idea that this is going to be happening. I think he's going to run straight over, but it's down to 5K. He's so far away. He's got no shot of getting there in time. Down to 2K, going to be secured here. Inspired does claim it. They get the Baron, they get out. Objective bounties have spawned. It's a 7,000 gold lead off the back of this sequence.
Isles finds this great flank angle, and a lot of the CC return focus goes on him, but he just dips out again. Inspired gets in, and with the ult soaks so much. And Loud quickly realized they've spent so many resources onto the front line. You know, Berserker untouched, Saint untouched. They can just keep pushing forward to the point that they're tower diving this Nami in this situation, turning it into Chum.
Yep, going to be able to grab an easy kill on the Nami. And that was honestly the goal difference in action for Inspired. He was barely surviving. The difference between him and YoungJay was that YoungJay's on brown boots, and he had tabbies plus 2 cloth armors on top.
Yeah.
That was the difference. He is surviving because of that extra armor, and now he is going to be close to the GA. Now a full death cap for Saint. He didn't even have to pop the Seekers, so go straight in towards that death cap. Third item done for Berserker. All of the luxury items coming through. Shino's lead now means essentially nothing.
I think, honestly, Loud needed to get the trap set up, and they've struggled to do that. Struggled to get in early and get the Caitlyn in an ideal position. And now, 2,100 gold lead for Berserker over the Caitlyn. I mean, mid, jungle, and AD carry all just massively ahead of their counterparts. And Shino's lead just not nearly as big as it was earlier in this game.
It's so tough because, you know, Bull, obviously, you know, he is a target if Isles finds that flank, but even if he doesn't, at this point with the carry so strong, all Isles has to do is press the quickness and CC the melee champs when they go in on your carries, right? As long as they are not stacked and getting one shot, Berserker and Saint can cover for each other, and trying to fight through a Xin Zhao that is this strong is near impossible. And they just don't have the players in the spots to actually answer, so they're pushing through bot, but they give up the top tier 2, the mid tier 2, just to push in a wave on bot.
Yeah. Losing so much more gold at this point. Oh,
gonna look public execution in onto Dokla. The fear comes out, and he looks like he's gonna be a bit of a freebie. Dokla overstays as the rest of the team is resetting. That is a pretty silly death from him.
Yeah, not the first time this series. We saw even in that Gnar game where he was doing pretty great little overstays when the rest of the team resets. Kind of does put an end on the Baron push from LYON here. It's a minute 20 until that next dragon. It is Ocean Soul. Again, not the most impactful, but I feel like when you're already behind and you're struggling to kill off those targets, just that extra bit of health that comes in is going to be problematic for the side of Loud. I need to see them try and find some good setup, but the problem is they were struggling to set up for the Caitlyn when they were more even in gold. They're behind now. How do you push in? How do you get control? How do you contest this? Or maybe they just give it up and try and fight at a different time. 6k gold deficit.
Yeah.
It may just be the better play to just leave it for now.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to contest and you get ace, the game's probably over. If you give it, then you're praying for an Elder flip, right? But is it going to get easier to contest later? I don't really think so. And then you're trying to contest it into a Soul. And, well, we've talked about this Soul not being that powerful. When Inspired is this fed, I do think it's actually really valuable for the Xin Zhao. You know, Crescent Guard gets so much value in a fight like this. Bull can't really do anything about him. And if he can just battle against these melee champs in the front line and win those 1v1s, which he can already, let alone with Soul, I think it makes it really tough.
I think just getting onto a key target, if it's Saint, if it's Berserker, connecting that CC is going to be key. But you see, LYON are kind of flanking around here.
Yeah, they are 4 members strong. Dokla is behind Loud. They could look for Bull here. If Bull walks up towards that top side, he could get a rude surprise from Dokla. They have controlled that mid wave, but the dragon is spawned. Shino looking for a flank angle, and now Dokla will reveal. They're going to try to push him in. In comes the big engage. The Grim Deliverance is used to retreat, but Bull is in so much trouble. Pops the ghost, pops the flash. Berserker flashes forward, but he can't finish him. But it doesn't matter because Loud are crumbling. LYON are crushing the fight here once again. It's 2 members down. It's Shino on the run, and it is Soul on the table here as Inspired has his eyes on the objective. The solo laners are more than enough to knock down Shino. The Brazilian phenom will fall, and LYON, you have to feel like might have just sealed the deal.
They pounce on their opponents, find great target selection, and just cut them down so quickly. Ocean Drake taken. It's the MasterCard priceless moment of the game with the Soul secured. And Loud, it feels like it's just going from bad to worse.
It absolutely has. Saint has that full zone. He has 3 items completed. Berserker did spend the flash. That's maybe something working in your favor. The GA was also popped there from Inspired. Youngjae, he doesn't win this. You know, even if he face checks you at this point, you just don't have the damage, and he's about to find that out as he is on the run. Saint likely not going to chase too far, but here is the fight one more time that may have just decided the game.
So, Isles actually splits onto Envy and Redbit here, and then moves over to Dokla afterwards. We see Berserker flashes in to try and take out Bull. Doesn't quite get the kill. Isles, a little bit deep, a little bit too far. I love the energy, a little bit too much, but the rest of the team is there to clean up.
Might not have been the best play, but it was the confident one.
It was the confident one. The rest of the team got the dragon. They took out Shino, and now, unfortunately for the CBLOL representatives, the game is in a rough spot.
Yeah, and you can see it, right? You know, that is the nature of competition. For there to be a winner, there does have to be a loser, but never nice to see the pain on the players' faces like that. As Youngjae going to get found out here, he is going to pop the Grim Deliverance in retreat. He'll be able to stay safe, but Loud has to know it. It is a snowball's chance right now for them to come back in this game. You know, your best shot really, I think, is just delaying. Hopefully, you know, you can live through the Baron and maybe find an Elder angle, as the public execution won't find Berserker, who can Valk out to safety.
I mean, I like the attempt, right? If that connects, maybe you just get the all-in Berserker. Yeah. I think you have to go for things like that. That is your engage. One of your best tools is the Ambessa. Inspired start up the Baron.
just looking to solo it at this point. They're trying to go aggressive on a Berserker, but he's just healing back up with that Ocean Soul. He had no flash, so they might have been able to kill him, but now Shino is incredibly low, has no TP available.
Youngjae has no ult or flash. It's so hard for him to approach. I think Baron is just gone. Honestly, LYON could stall this out and make it sync a little bit better with the Elder. I mean, it's a long way away from the Elder, so maybe they can't stall out for long enough.
Yeah, that's the question, is can you survive until the Elder? I do agree that when you've already given Soul, Elder is your best chance of the game, right? Elder is kind of that great equalizer where if you can steal it, if you can manage to make everything happen in your favor and not just die in the attempt at a steal, then hey, it kind of erases the gold lead, right? Because all of a sudden everyone has like 25% less HP because there's the burn plus the execute. But it's a lot of ifs, I think, and they haven't been able to find really any fights.
Yeah, if LYON are playing this correctly, the Elder never even gets below half HP. Unless Loud are like trapped in their base or something. So they have the Baron now to push in. They have control of the game, and Saint, 0 deaths so far this game. So I said I really wanted to see him step up.
You had to say it, buddy.
Yeah, and he's had a great game so far. He's been pretty flawless. And a big redemption considering some of the rougher games this series. It's been a struggle so far for the LCS representative, but right now they are looking down a very good game state that might just get them this series win.
Yep, it's looking like it likely will. All of Loud down here on that bottom side as Saint and Berserker, they hurt at this point, and that rocket is going to show them just how much damage he can do. You can see that as soon as they saw all 5 from Loud down here and the trap line, they're like, all right, we need to play multiple lanes, right? So they send Saint up towards top, they send Dokla mid, and they're going to be looking to push in all of these waves. Look at the damage difference between the mid laners in this game. Envy has not really been able to find any purchase on the Vex at all, and it has been Saint in control from pretty early on.
Yeah, he's just been doing so much work, and he's been playing pretty aggressively in some of these fights, flashing forward to secure kills, but just still never really being threatened up to this point in this game.
Yep, and now, as the other lanes are being responded to, Loud know they cannot hold bot lane any longer. They send 2 members mid to answer Dokla. They have 1 top, so it is a 2v3 down here for Redbird and Bull. They're just trying to thin the wave as much as they possibly can. There's only 1 minute remaining on this Baron power play here. But that is enough to potentially threaten this bot side inhib. Youngjae has moved down there, but I don't know that Shino can hold the wave on the top side by himself. He's going to try to do it. He goes in, but the Arcane Storm will push him back. Won't be able to kill him, but is going to mean he has to retreat.
Yeah, it does force the ult at least, but you know, it's not that long of a cooldown, and you're going to have to back off and heal. The pressure is just mounting. Turret going down top. Bot seems soon to follow.
Saint going to be able to knock down that inhibitor. You have to think. Shino coming out with the home guard, so he will have to play a little respectful, and Dokla has been chunked pretty low. Will have the Zonia's completion on base as Berserker continues pushing in through bot, hits level 18 right now, a 3-level advantage over Bull, a nearly 3,000 gold lead as well. Saint goes back to base, double TPs come out with the Zonias as well as the completed Void Staff there for Saint.
Oh, Engage coming in.
Envy, this could be it. Envy gets burst down. They're going to try to send it onto Isles, but Isles has the team behind him. Shino has come in on the teleport, but he's chunked down already by Saint. Berserker Valks in. Dokla takes down Bull. The Grim Deliverance will get one back, but Inspired is standing and fighting. Saint and Berserker are untouched, and you know what that means. Loud can do nothing. The revive is there, but Berserker will camp the corpse and wait for another respawn here. Gets a kill. Saint knocks him down on the top side. It is Redbird alone against 4 members of LYON. Loud made him work for it. They pushed them to the brink, but LYON did not break. They win their first series here at First Stand, and they will advance to the upper bracket.